Let's get back in there. Glenn Woods is back on the air.
I'll make our government open and transparent. I'm going to make it impossible for congressmen or lobbyists to slip pork barrel projects or corporate welfare into laws when no one's looking, because when I'm president, meetings where laws are written will be more open to the public. No more secrecy. That's a commitment I make to you as president. When there's a bill that ends up on my desk as president, you, the public, will have 5 days to look online. When there are meetings between lobbyists and a government agency, many of those meetings is possible online for every American to watch. When there's a tax bill being debated in Congress, you will know the names of the corporations that would benefit and how much money they would get. And we will put every corporate tax break and every pork barrel project online for every American to see. You will know who asked for them, and you can decide whether your representative is actually representing you.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
Well, there's breaking news to begin the show today. With breaking news to begin the show, I get to try the new news sounder. So hang on, here we go. We're going to give it a test. It's a Friday edition of the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Now, if you're new to the show, here's how it works. Every day of the week, I give you guys a chance to call in with whatever you want to call in about. Change the subject. It always happens at some point during the show. On Friday, you can call in anytime. Change the subject anytime you want. Interrupt me if you have to. There's the rules. I know because I'm the guy who sets the rules. I made them up, so I know that's the case. Okay, so last time I went to start a show, and I had something that's specific that I wanted to talk about, like I do today. I have something specific I want to talk about to start the show with. But something happened in the news, and it interrupted me, and I had to stop and say, hey, folks, breaking news. Well, that just was boring to start it that way. So I thought, well, I got to do something different. I got to like a breaking news sounder, like you hear when you're watching Fox News or CNN and bang, breaking news. So I found a news sounder, some interesting music, and it had, various instruments. And it really sounded good, but I thought, well, isn't everybody doing that? So, okay, next time I have breaking news, I thought I'm going to change it up. So I came up with this. I found the sound effect of a jet fighter breaking the sound barrier. And the last time I said to you guys, breaking news, you heard this swoosh sound of a jet fighter going by with the roar of the engines and a loud bang. And I started telling you what the breaking news was. Okay, well, that was interesting, but it still didn't quite strike me as a breaking news sounder that was right for this radio show and this radio audience. So I decided to experiment a little bit. Now, if you guys have suggestions, because breaking news is going to happen from time to time, and I have to hit the breaking news sounder, just go ahead and either call the show or go to my website, boldrepublic.com, and you'll see all the social media and my email address, and you can suggest whatever you would like to try for a breaking news sounder. So I have to begin the show today with, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. Yeah, that's the goat that's really popular on television commercials today. Well, it's not bad. Maybe there should have been music behind it. The goat sound and then the, news music. Maybe I'll try that next time. Let's try it one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. Embattled Oregon governor announces resignation. Now, you see, if it had been anything else that was, really serious and horrifying, that wouldn't have worked. It's okay if I'm saying the governor of Oregon is going to resign. But let's say it was some horrible event where just a lot of people had died. Then you would be calling here demanding that I resign. So maybe the goat sound effect isn't so good. We're working on it. Call me in with your suggestions at any time. Here's the story. Embattled Oregon governor has announced his resignation amid ethics scandals. In a statement obtained by Fox News, the governor says he is resigning effective February 18th. He met with members of his staff late today and briefed them on the whole thing. And if you've been following the scandal, you know what it's all about. If not, we're going to get on to other news anyway. Just go look it up, okay? No, seriously, he has been, a lot of it has to do with his wife and her using his office for political and financial gain. And some of it has to do with him as well. So, okay. And they've been, even Democrats have been coming out and saying, well, you need to resign. Finally, today, he's had enough. You know what was bizarre for me? It happened yesterday. This is where I thought it's over. The guy's under a lot of stress. It's over. Because his Secretary of State, I believe she was in Washington, D.C. on state business. And he picks up the phone and calls her and says, get back home now. I need to talk to you in my office. She hops on an airplane. She flies all the way back to Oregon. She gets off the airplane. She goes right to the Capitol, right into his office. He looks at her and says, what are you doing here? So the reaction that you just had on that was her reaction. She did that double, triple take that you often see in cartoons, and that told me that this is going to be over anytime soon. So, okay, if there's any more to the story, I'll go ahead and let you know as soon as I know that that's what's going on. I don't think there's anything else to the story. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been breaking news on Bold Republic. And off we go back to the regular stories. Oh, and by the way, you can call the show anytime you want. Interrupt me if you have to. 307-363-4093 is the phone number. It is open phones all Friday. Howard Dean is going after Scott Walker. Now, first off, for the record, that is Governor Scott Walker. If you've noticed, I really haven't been talking polls. I hardly ever do. We'll start with that. It is way too early to talk about who's going to be running for president in either party. So you notice I haven't been talking about that. But this one, and whoever the front runner is, whoever's ahead in the polls, they have to find some way to attack the guy. It doesn't matter what. Throw everything at him. Something's going to stick. You know what it reminds me of was before I tell you what Howard Dean did, when I was a kid, I was watching something on television about World War II, and I was noticing two ships in a battle, and they were shooting every gun they had, including the small machine guns. And I said, I don't understand, Dad. If they're all locked down, what is shooting those smaller caliber machine guns do? And he said, if you shoot enough, you'll hit something. Good point. I think that's what's going on. Jim is on the phone about our news. Jim, I lost you, Jim. Oh, has an idea for the breaking news sounder, but Jim did not hang on the line. Jim, if you want to call back, 307-363-4093 is the phone number. That's 307-363-4093. Perhaps maybe the busy signal was his idea for a news sounder. All right. Howard Dean going after Governor Scott Walker because maybe Scott Walker is running for president, and picks on Scott Walker for being a college dropout. There's the problem that I see for being a college dropout. Okay, because Howard Dean gave reasons why Governor Scott Walker didn't finish his last year in school in college. And so he shouldn't be governor then? Okay, now I got an answer for Howard Dean in just a minute, but hang on. Howard Dean has a problem, the story reads, this is from the Daily Signal, with Governor Scott Walker's lack of a college degree. Quote, Scott Walker, hey, were to become president, he'd be the first president in many generations who did not have a college degree, said Dean. Of course, Dean's also a former governor. He said this on Morning Joe. So is MSNBC, of course. Commenting on Walker's response to a question on evolution, which he really didn't answer, but okay. So he then goes to talk about science and issues and why it's important for a president to have a college degree. You know why Scott Walker dropped out of college, he said? Because he had a job. He had a job that was paying him a good amount of money, and so he left college and pursued his career. Not only was he successful in his career, but he's been a very successful governor as well. So I can answer you, Howard Dean, about a college degree, but hang on, Chet is on the video stream. How can you tell Howard Dean clip from the GOAT? They sound the same to me. That's true. Well, hang on. Chet's got a good point. Now, I'm going to go ahead and answer what Howard Dean has to say. I'm sorry, what Chet had to say. But first, I'm going to call this thing up about Howard Dean. Now, this is the nice thing about radio today in the modern era. It would have been harder to do. So what you do, folks, if you ever want to see this, just get on YouTube, okay? And just type in Dean Scream. This is Howard Dean. What pretty much, I mean, he was already sunk. It was just the final nail in the coffin that sunk Howard Dean back when he did the famous Dean Scream. So, okay, good point, Chet. Howard Dean and the Dean Scream. Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. We're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Stop right there. Let's back up. Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina. And you're right, Chet. They sound the same. Oh, dear Lord, these two sound exactly the same. Howard Dean and the GOAT. I could use Howard Dean as the news sounder. It would make a difference. Here we go. To take back the White House. There we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Chet, you nailed it. There is no difference between the Howard Dean scream and that GOAT scream. Either one is exactly the same. Way to go, Chet. You're on the ball today. Okay, Mr. Howard Dean. People who did not finish college. Henry Ford. And realize back when Henry Ford was alive, he made like $188 to $200 billion in today's money. Bill Gates. Larry Ellison, Sheldon Ellison, Las Vegas Sands Corporation, Larry Page, that would be Google, if you didn't know Larry Page, did not graduate at the time when he was making, producing Google, dropped out of college to finish Google. Let's see, there's Michelle Dell of Dell Computers, Paul Allen, Microsoft, did not finish college. David Geffen, Geffen Records. Okay, did not know about that. Okay. Let's see. Steve Jobs, of course, we all know who Steve Jobs is, Apple Computers. Well, I mean, how much money is Apple? Apple just broke a record. I know Steve Jobs is no longer around, but Apple just broke a record for how much that company is worth. Did not finish college. Richard Branson of Virgin Airlines and all the other Virgin projects that he has out there. Okay. Never finished college. Let's see. Here's a Japanese billionaire, 3.6 billion, Live Doors, what he created. I can't pronounce his name, but he didn't finish college. Ralph Lauren. You know him, of course, the clothing designer. He's worth $3.6 billion. Never finished college. And let's see, Jerry Yang, Yahoo. That's the guy who did Yahoo. Never finished college. Mark Zuckerberg. Never finished college. That's for those people on Facebook. Never finished college. But Mr. Howard Dean says, no, we have to have someone who finished college. Well, we do have someone who finished college in office right now, and he's a complete idiot. DJ, who's watching on the video stream, says, I think one less lawyer in the White House is a good idea. Well, amen to that. One less lawyer. No, seriously, someone who knows nothing about law and hasn't finished college but graduated from the School of Life. Now, that's what I would like to see in the White House. I've got a qualification for you I'm going to talk about up next that I think, to me, just summarized the whole thing. And it's over something that just happened recently. But okay. Here in the little town that I'm in Wyoming, there's a store that I'd love to go visit from time to time just to see all the neat stuff they have in there. But you can visit them online anytime you want, and everything is made in America. I mean, down to the last detail. That's my Made in America store. So if it matters to you that everything's made in America, every last thread on the product, whatever the product is, Even kitchenware and clothing, name it, they have it. Just type them in online and find you can shop from anywhere in the world. My Made in America store. The National Dead Clock Countdown for Friday, February 13th, 2015. 18,121 billion, with less than a year and a half until Social Security disability goes bankrupt.
Valentine's Day is February 14th, and that's just around the corner. This is Bruce at Marshall Jewelry here in Gillette, and we have a special Valentine's package for only $99. It comes with a gold or enamel rose, a box of chocolates, and a strand of pearls. We have over a dozen colors of roses to choose from. Pearl strands are both white and multicolor. The chocolates are from the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. This is the perfect Valentine's package. 15 months interest-free financing is available with approved credit. Marshall Jewelry, where she'll love it guaranteed.
Win thousands of dollars in a single game at Gillette Downtown Bingo. The current Bonanza jackpot is over $3,900. Fun and warm atmosphere with a smoke-free glass house. Never played bingo before? No problem. The friendly staff enjoys working with new players. Purchase a tasty dinner at the Snack Shack in the hall. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 5:30 to 10 p.m. Gillette Downtown Bingo, 212 South Gillette Avenue, Gillette, Wyoming.
Smithers? You look exhausted.
Oh, sir, I was at the office half the night.
Really? Well, that's the third night this week.
Yes, sir. I just can't seem to stay away. I'm not sure what's gotten into me.
Dedication, son. I haven't seen that kind of work ethic in years.
Right. Well, I'll probably be at the office late again tonight. There's just so much to do.
You'll want to work late every night at the Office Saloon with Doc McGillicuddy Monday, Tap That Tuesdays, Screw It Wednesdays, Thirsty Thursdays, and thank God it's Friday with Bud and Bud Light specials. And at the office, you'll even want to work weekends, Saturday nights, ladies' nights, and mini-meet Sundays. Work late at the Office Saloon, U.S. Highway 14 in Gillette, Wyoming, out toward the airport.
Smithers, is there any luck with that client you've been chasing?
Oh, yes, sir. Last night, she gave me her phone number.
Attaboy, Smithers. Attaboy.
Hello. Yes. I think Glenn is going to take your call next, but don't call him Glenn. He wants to be called Pasty White Guy. Oh, no, he takes it as a compliment. Trust me. Wait, here we go.
Back to the show. Back to Glenn Woods.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. And don't forget, you can change the subject all you want on a Friday. Doesn't matter what I'm talking about. Phone number to get involved in the action, 307-363-4093. That's 307-363-4093. So, okay, Howard Dean and some other Democrats and some, I'm sure, others on MSNBC. Well, Scott Walker doesn't have a college degree. Okay, he missed his last year. First of all, let's start with that. He missed his last year. So what? You want him to go back and sit around a few more classes and take some notes and pass a couple of tests, and now you'll be happy? Because that's basically all he would have to do to finish his college degree. Just sit around a couple of classes, listen to some professors drone on, pass a couple of tests, and he has a degree. That's it. So all of the decades of success that Scott Walker has doesn't mean a thing. By the way, talk about hypocritical. I'm calling out a hypocrite right from the start. Because if Scott Walker was ahead in the polls and he was a Democrat, well, the college degrees don't matter, is what Howard Dean would be saying. And he would be reciting the exact same list that I'm citing to you right now. Russell Simmons of Def Jam. Wow, he's worth about $340 million. Matt Mullenweg, really? World Press is who that guy is from. Okay. YouTube creator. Wow, the YouTube creator never finished college. A lot of people in the tech industry these days. Let's see. United Bank Card. The guy who invented the United Bank Card never finished. He's stinking rich right now, too. The guy who invented Napster, Sean Fanning, yeah, he never went to college. Let's see. What's another one? Blog to Bank. I'm trying to come up with stuff that you guys are familiar with. Okay, Boxnet, you know about that one? Okay, the guy who invented that. That's another online thing. Never went to college. Now, a lot of these people I know are online, but there's some other people, like, again, when you're talking about Virgin Airlines and all of that, guy never finished college. So, Do we need a president that finished college? No. Do we need a president who has life experience? Absolutely. In fact, I've given you 2 economists that I've talked about over the years. One of them, Charles Krauthammer. DJ, help me out. Who am I thinking of? The guy who works for the New York Times right now. Paul Krugman is the guy I'm thinking of. Paul Krugman has no life experience whatsoever. He teaches, kind of, sort of, at some universities like Harvard and Yale, but mostly writes for the New York Times right now. And Paul Krugman has a Nobel Prize as an economist, and he's one of the biggest economic idiots I've ever read or heard speak when he's on television in my entire life. But I can name some other economists for you. James Solwell is one of them. He is a guy who grew up in a bad neighborhood in the South and had to work his way up and started his own businesses when he had to, and then eventually put himself through college. Now he's an economist, and that guy talks plain common sense. What does he have? Life experience. DJ just wrote on the video stream, the guy who invented videotape. A professor at MIT, never went to college, but taught there. Ooh, good one, DJ. So I would rather have someone with life experience. The college thing doesn't matter to me. I want to see success. That's what matters to me. Now, with that in mind, there's also a type of person that I want to see. Here's a personality type for you. So when our current president of the United States announced that an American citizen had been beheaded by pigs, that would be the pseudo-Islamic group of sadists out there that some people are still calling ISIL. When that man was beheaded, our current president, Barack Hussein Obama, went before the press, announced it, said how horrible it was, and he was going to do something about it. And then literally, quite literally, he walked out the back door and onto the golf course. Now, just recently, the president had to make the horrible announcement that another American citizen, a young lady who was out there basically on mission work, was killed by the same pigs, pseudo-Islamic group of sadists that some people are still calling ISIL. And the president made that announcement and promised again to do something about it, and then made a video for BuzzFeed promoting Obamacare where he was taking a bunch of selfies and so on and making people laugh and ha ha ha, very funny, Mr. President. Now, in Jordan, the king of Jordan was informed that one of his pilots in the Jordanian Air Force had been burned to death in a cage, and the king of Jordan saw the video. The king of Jordan then got on television and threatened pigs, the pseudo-Islamic group of sadists that people are still calling ISIL. The king of Jordan then put on his flight suit, got into an F-16, and led a squadron over Syria and bombed the snot out of those people. Now, can you understand at this point who I would rather have as president of the United States? I mean, is it possible, would the king of Jordan like a promotion? I know he's not an American citizen, but that's who I would like to have. If it were possible, I'd vote for the guy.
Nobody ever thinks that it's their kid that something's going to happen to, but I worry that if he was coming home by himself and somebody saw him by himself and he was vulnerable, I don't know what could happen.
Several years ago when my son was 9, he asked if he could ride the subway by himself, and my husband and I let him. I wrote a column about it, and 2 days later I was on the Today Show, MSNBC, Fox News, NPR. I had obviously struck a nerve.
What did you think about your mom letting you have this opportunity?
I was like, finally.
Nobody could believe that a decent mother would let her son go underground by himself and let him find his own way home. To me, it was letting him have a little independence that he was ready for. Thousands of blog posts later, I wrote the book, Free Range Kids. I have a television show now called World's Worst Mom. That's me. So I started a business. Call me if you're really nervous, and I will send your kids outside while I lock you indoors. It's as simple as that. And I've done it several times, and it just works. It works because reality breaks through this gigantic fear that's been foisted down parents' throats, that they have to be worried about their kids every single second. Leah and Rusty are from New Mexico. They're not native New Yorkers, but they've been living in a very lovely, safe, leafy part of New York City for the last year or so with their 2 children. And they remember their own childhood freedoms really fondly.
I grew up on about 3.5 acres. So we spent much of our days just riding the horses. We were always outside all day long. My mom would say, go do whatever you're going to do. Don't hurt yourself, and we'll see you later.
I was talking to my mom this morning. I don't remember her ever coming looking for us.
Contrast that with what is your son allowed to do now at 12?
I gotta say, he's probably, he's on a much tighter leash than I was. I feel like my family's my responsibility. And it's difficult to put your kid's safety at risk.
Well, do you think you'd be putting his safety at risk? Because I'm not a fan of putting kids at risk. I truly am not. I'm actually a nervous mom.
Yeah. I worry that if somebody saw him by himself and he was vulnerable, I don't know what could happen.
They've been walking for a year. They're in New York City.
Yeah,
they know how to walk. They've got the legs.
But...
And you're not that far from a grocery.
Uh-huh.
And it's still light out, and I don't think it's raining. Could we ask them if they're game? Would you be game?
Yeah, we can ask Leah and the kids and see if it's something that they want to do.
And it's something you're game for?
I'll be nervous, but if they're comfortable with it, I'll let them do it. You feel comfortable crossing the street?
Yes.
Using the street light?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
One of the reasons I think we're particularly worried about cars today is because we're with our kids all the time. And when you're with your kids, you look out for the cars, so it looks like your kids aren't paying any attention whatsoever. If you want your kids to be really safe, you can't do everything for them. You're not building a competent child.
Had you not specifically asked about it and had they not brought it up, I don't think we would have probably let them do this any time in the next probably year. I think I see him coming.
Do you?
Felt a little bit out of control, and just hope that they were okay.
You know they're proud of you?
Yep.
You proud of them?
Yeah.
For what?
For letting us go and being brave enough to let us go.
Now let's toast. Yes. You propose the toast, please.
To letting our kids venture outside and spread their wings.
The sense at the end that, like, look at my kids, instead of like, oh, my kids, the fear gets replaced by this joy. And the kids are like, my parents believe in me. It's emotional.
Everyone who is important listens to this show. Yes, everyone. Everyone at the IRS, the NSA, the FBI, and even those Chinese spies. So when you call Glenn, make it count. They are listening. Let's get back to the show. Here's Glenn Woods.
It's a Friday edition, Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Phone number to get involved, and you can talk about what I'm talking about. or you can change the subject, talk about whatever you want to talk about. 307-363-4093. That's 307-363-4093, and there's already people popping in on the video stream as well, where you can leave me messages while I'm online, on air, talking. So it's just go ahead and use the box right over there, type in your message, and I'll answer as the show progresses. So last Friday, of course, it was Brian Williams that won the bold lie of the week, obviously. Now, believe it or not, even though more has been exposed, he is not the winner of the bold lie this week. I'll get to that next hour. This was called stringing you along, keeping you in suspense. You'll have to wait the next hour to find out about that. But more is coming out about Brian Williams. So here's the latest. Now, this one is from CBS Los Angeles. So you can't blame Fox News. Questions emerge over a statement Brian Williams made in Scotland. Well, this just isn't going to end for the guy anytime soon. I kind of wonder if he is coming back or not. But, okay, he seems to have a problem. And I don't know why a guy like this would stretch the truth at all, which is really what he's doing. He's taking something that actually did happen to him, and he's adding details. He's embellishing. Why? What was going on was cool enough. He didn't have to add details to it. Okay, two days after NBC announced 6-month suspension, Brian Williams' questions have emerged, the story says, about questions, at least one statement made by him when he was in Southland while speaking at a forum at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library 2008. Audience members asked Williams what his wow interview of the best moment of his career. And he said, I've been so fortunate. I was at the Brandenburg Gate the night the wall came down. Okay, what Williams was referring to was the demolition of the Berlin Wall, 1989. I actually do remember exactly where I was when I heard that the wall was coming down. I was driving down I-75 near Gainesville, Florida, and listening to the radio when I was hearing that. But there are now reports that he actually arrived the day after the wall came down. So that's just one of, okay, so we got that one, right? All right. I was there to watch it come down. No, you were the day after it came down. Why embellish it? That's still a very cool thing. Okay. Another chopper whopper is what this is called from Hot Air Blog. Did Williams lie about SEAL Team 6? Now, the first thing you're probably thinking is, well, obviously he did a halo jump with SEAL Team 6. Two problems there. Well, more than two problems. One of them is they didn't do a halo jump. But okay, obviously he wasn't embedded with them. That's not the problem here. If this turns out to be a lie, it might be one of the more egregious ones. Brian Williams, I would end his career. As NBC goes through what's been described as a dossier of lies, another tale emerges on the public record ever since SEAL Team 6 killed Osama bin Laden. Oh, by the way, that team apparently was led by Barack Obama. Well, he keeps saying that I got bin Laden, so I mean, obviously he was there too, right? Williams has told David Letterman and others that he was embedded with the elite special ops unit on several occasions, becoming close enough with that team, that they gave him a piece of the downed chopper in the bin Laden raid as a memento of their friendship. There's a number of problems with that tale. Chief among them that the Navy insists they did not embed reporters for special ops missions. So what about the piece of the chopper? Okay, well, story I have in front of me reads, CNN analysis Peter Bergen said, Anderson Cooper 360, that was told by sources in the SEAL community that it would be impossible for Williams to have ever traveled with SEAL Team 6. We do not embed journalists with groups like that. Okay. And then you would have to wonder, what about that piece of the chopper? My impression was they just left the whole thing behind. They destroyed it and left it behind, but we'll see about that. If that turns out to be the case, if several more lies turn out to be lies, then you have to wonder about his credibility over the years. It's one thing if there was one story that he just got wrong because, as he originally said, I just didn't remember it correctly. That would be one thing. But if you have a string of tall tales, and again, I still go back. Here's why this is bizarre for me. I still go back after all this time and wonder why in the world would you lie when your real life has been so incredibly interesting. There's no need to embellish.
Bold Republic.
Yeah, it seems the Higgs transponder flagellated your subtwell drive and capacitated your moron circuit.
Does your mechanic speak another language?
So I figured we reversed the polarity on the latch trigger and transposed the Weller circuit, and that should do it.
Some mechanics take advantage of the fact that you can't speak or understand them.
Yep, this is going to do it, but it's going to be expensive.
But at Ideal Auto, we speak your language.
This broke. Me fix. Affordable.
Now, anybody can understand that. Get your car repaired with the people who speak your language. Ideal Auto, 2901 Dogwood Avenue, Gillette, Wyoming, 307-686-2259.
You could either spend $100 getting your phone fixed, or you could go ahead and spend $400 to replace it. At Selectel Wireless in Gillette, we fix phones. Most generally, what breaks is the digitizer or the LCD. This is from being dropped, being smashed, thrown against the wall. Now, seriously, 9 times out of 10, people throw their phones. Well, we can fix that too. Save money, fix it, don't replace it. Come see us at Selectel Wireless, next to Office Depot in Gillette, Wyoming. But if you do need a new phone, we have those too.
Win thousands of dollars in a single game at Gillette Downtown Bingo. The current Bonanza jackpot is over $3,900. Fun and warm atmosphere with a smoke-free glass house. Never played bingo before? No problem. The friendly staff enjoys working with new players. Purchase a tasty dinner at the Snack Shack in the hall. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 5:30 to 10 p.m. Gillette Downtown Bingo, 212 South Gillette Avenue, Gillette, Wyoming.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline McKinney, owner of Fast and Furious Detailing. Do you need your RV or toy hauler cleaned? We will get it ready for you, so all you have to do is go have some fun. Or how about after fun, we can clean it up. We will even wash all of your bedding for you. Does your boat have dark film all around the outside of it? No problem. Fast and Furious Detailing is a full-service detailing company. We detail cars, SUVs, trucks, RVs, toy haulers, boats, ATVs, UTVs, and motorcycles. Fast and Furious Detailing hopes you can find everything you need. Our company is focused on providing high-quality service and customer satisfaction. We will do everything we can to meet your expectations. With a variety of offerings to choose from, we're sure you'll be happy working with us. We're located at 5753 South Winland Drive, and our phone number is 307-682-2470.
Valentine's Day is February 14th, and that's just around the corner. This is Bruce at Marshall Jewelry here in Gillette, and we have a special Valentine's package for only $99. It comes with a gold or enamel rose, a box of chocolates, and a strand of pearls. We have over a dozen colors of roses to choose from. Pearl strands are both white and multicolor. The chocolates are from the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. This is the perfect Valentine's package. 15 months interest-free financing is available with approved credit. Marshall Jewelry, where she'll love it guaranteed.
Do yourself a favor. Don't just listen to the show. See what Glenn's talking about at boldrepublic.com. There you can watch the show live on YouTube or download the show and listen to it later. Now let's get back in there. Here's Glenn Woods.
Okay, before I can do this next little bit for you in the news, there's 2 things that I'm going to need. Oh, by the way, DJ says by video stream there. John says next Brian Williams will claim to be the victim. Oh, of course. He'll need an MRI and claim to have disability, a new disorder of truth challenge. Yeah, well, wow. If that's the case, John, do you know how many Democrats are going to be able to claim disability? And Social Security disability, which is supposed to go broke in a little over a year, will go broke in the next couple of months if that were to happen. By the way, DJ, since I know you're still listening right now, sorry to do this to you, but I need your help. I'm right about something. You know what that means. I need a woman to confirm it. So if you could call in right now, you know the number, of course, but I'll go ahead and flash it up on the screen. There it is right by my shoulder there. So if DJ will call in, because I can't, look, this is how it works, folks. And then, Dan, right after DJ calls in, I'm going to need your help after I'm done with the call, because you're going to need to scream bloody murder. We're going to need both at the same time. Here's how this works, folks. Whenever a man is right, he's not right until a woman confirms that he's right. It's like if a man is in the woods and, you know, talking to himself, is he still wrong? Well, of course, obviously he is, unless there's a woman there to confirm that, in fact, the man was right about something. The man is never right. Okay, so right now the line has just lit up, and Dan is putting Donna on hold. Now, Dan, I'm going to need you to come in here and stand behind me just like you did yesterday, because this is going to, we need someone to scream bloody murder. And Dan yesterday proved on this very story that he was very good at screaming bloody murder. So Dan's going to come in and get behind me. Here was the story that I read to you guys yesterday. Illegal immigrants, this is yesterday's story. Illegal immigrants not only will be able to file tax returns, but now they're going to be able to get those tax returns whether they ever filed taxes or not. Right behind me there, Dan. Dan's getting in position. Then I made this prediction that because illegal immigrants can now file for their taxes and get driver's licenses and get Social Security numbers, even though they're illegal, they will now be allowed to vote because voters registration will automatically show up in the mail. Well, the story I have in front of me right now says loophole for illegal immigrants. They will be able to vote in elections. Hit it, Dan. Jonah, was I right?
Oh, it's the worst part of my job to say this, Glenn, but yeah, you were right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case. Donna, Dan, thank you very much. Okay, then Dan walks out of the room. I know that is hard to hear, Dan. I know that but it is. Thank you both for helping out with that part of the show. Here is the story. I told you guys this, and it doesn't take much to predict it. President Obama's temporary deportation amnesty will make it easier for illegal immigrants to improperly register and vote in elections. State elections officials testified to Congress yesterday, saying that driver's licenses and Social Security numbers will be granted to create a major voting loophole. Now, how did I know that this was the case? Because it already happened in states such as Florida and South Carolina and a bunch of other states as well. So I already saw this coming, not because I'm a genius, but because it already happened. While stressing that it remains illegal for non-citizens to vote, let me read that again. While stressing that it remains illegal for non-citizens to vote, secretaries of state from Ohio, Kansas, and other such states say they won't have the tools to sniff out illegal immigrants, you write your own jokes, who register anyway, ignoring stiff penalties to fill out registration forms that are easily available at shopping malls, voter vehicle bureaus, curbside registration, things like that. Anyone registering to vote attests that he or she is a citizen, so it's actually a felony to lie. But Ohio Secretary of State said mass registration drives aren't able to give due attention to the part so illegal immigrants can still get through. They have been getting through, and now President Obama's amnesty is allowing them to get through in the greatest numbers ever. This next election is going to be really interesting, folks. It's more than just the dead who'll be able to vote.
Americans expect and deserve a reliable electric grid to power their homes. But recently, the EPA proposed regulations that will close many coal-based power plants, putting the nation's electric grid in jeopardy. To understand why this is happening, we need to go to the source. Power plant operators will tell you that the EPA's regulations fail to adequately protect electric grid reliability. Thousands of miners are hard at work producing the coal we need. Trains are delivering coal to power plants, but it matters little when power plants are forced offline for purely political reasons. What can you do to help prevent millions of Americans from going without power when they need it most? It's time to go to Washington and tell the EPA that you want unnecessary regulations to stop. The EPA must rethink these foolhardy regulations and start listening to energy industry experts. Turn the lights off at the EPA so we can keep America's power on.
Hey friends, do you find yourself living in California and able to buy less and less of the basic fun and necessities of life? Well, now you can, because of a new chain of stores opening up on the California border. It's Banned in California. Yes, Banned in California provides all the products that you're no longer allowed to buy inside the California border. Guys, have you been wanting to buy that new fur coat for the little lady? What about that massive, energy-guzzling, big screen TV? You'll find it on sale now at Banned in California. Serious lawnmowers that get the job done and big SUVs. And yes, to keep those little kitties happy, get them a Happy Meal with extra trans fat in the food court, of course. And feel free to walk around and smoke inside while the little lady goes to the tanning bed. Yes, Banned in California, now located at every state location along the California border. Illegal immigrants on staff to show you how to sneak back across the border with everything you've purchased.
Do yourself a favor. Don't just listen to the show. See what Glenn's talking about at boldrepublic.com. There you can watch the show live on YouTube or download the show and listen to it later. Now let's get back in there. Here's Glenn Woods.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. And you can do what some of these other fine folks have done. Interrupt me, change the subject if you want. If you're on the video stream, hi, how you doing? Just go ahead and do what Chet just did right there. Just left me a message that I'm about to read. If you want to call in, 307-363-4093. Oh, hey, this is a compliment for Dan. Chet on the video stream says, thanks, Dan. You nailed it. Yeah, he certainly did. See, that when something just makes you want to scream bloody murder, I'm just going to bring Dan in to scream bloody murder. He seems to be very adept at it, and so we might as well just have him do it. Okay, so how does it feel to live in a country where your government gets to force your business to do things? See, I enjoyed way back when I used to live in a free country, where I got to make decisions by myself, and it was the government's job to protect me in case somebody tried to screw me over. That's why we have the police and the courts. Other than that, I can just go ahead and live my life the way I want to live it, right? But now we live in a country where the government's allowed to tell you what to do. Headline, Federal Court nixes religious contraceptive mandate challenge. That last word killed the whole thing for me. I was excited until I read the last word. In Pittsburgh, a federal appeals court has reversed the lower court's victories by two Western Pennsylvania Catholic Church dioceses and a private Christian college that challenged birth control coverage mandates as part of federal health care reforms. By the way, if you lived in a free country, your boss would not be required to give you health insurance. That means that you would be making more cash because he wouldn't be covering your health insurance. And you would be able to take the money and go purchase what health insurance you wanted at whatever prices you could negotiate if the government wasn't involved at all. But no, government has to be involved in your business, your boss's business, and in your business as well, which has done nothing but drive up the costs. Costs are not lower because of government. The health insurance business is a mess because of government involvement. Okay, here we go. We went to court on this. 3-0 ruling against your rights, against your freedom. A 3-0 ruling Wednesday by the Third U.S. Circus, says circuit, but Court of Appeals panel found that the reforms place no substantial burden on the religious groups and therefore don't violate the First Amendment rights of religious expression. That's the problem with their ruling right there. Well, we don't see that it really puts a burden on you. That wasn't the question. The question wasn't about, I would appeal this ruling here. And they can, by the way. They can continue appealing their way up. The question that this court, 3-0, got completely wrong, does it put a burden on you? That's not the question. Okay, so you have a Catholic church. The church has employees. Their religion says, well, about this contraceptive thing here, especially when it comes to the morning after pill, they're opposed to it. That's their religion. So they're not going to cover those kind of things. Now, that's their religion. So they get to make that decision. The government's job, even if it wasn't their religion, even if it was just a decision that they made, the government's job is to respect and protect their decision. We are free people in a free country. We are allowed to make these decisions. In this case, if the Catholic Church is the employer and they're the ones providing the health insurance coverage, they're the ones who are paying for it, then they get to make that decision. Don't like that? Go pay for your own health insurance. But as long as your boss, in this case the church, is paying for it, they get to make the decision. So the question isn't about burden. The question is about rights and freedom. I have the right to decide that based on my religious beliefs, and that's it. Government's job is to protect my rights. So we have a court that doesn't understand what its job is. All three organizations are mulling whether to appeal to the entire thing to the Third Circuit Court of U.S. Supreme Court, which I would. I would take it right to the Supreme Court. Quoting here, such a ruling should cause deep concern for anyone who cares about the First Amendment rights, especially the right to teach and practice religious faith, said the Pittsburgh bishop. He says the decision says that the church is no longer free to practice what we preach. Well put. The issue is an accommodation written into the Affordable Care Act that says religious organizations can opt out of directly providing and paying for coverage of medical services such as groups and I was thinking about this last night. Well, let me just put the story aside and tell you what I was thinking last night. It really does bother me, whether we're talking about church or not, even a company like Staples. It really bothers the hell out of me that the government thinks that it's okay to order a company or order an individual to do anything. Well, you are hereby ordered to purchase this health insurance, and you have to purchase the following policies. You have to. We've ordered it. See, that's not living in a free country. If you were living in a free country, it would be completely up to you if you wanted to buy health insurance or not. And the government would never think to get into your business or your boss's business. They would never think to order anybody to do anything. So if you wanted contraceptive coverage on your insurance, that would be up to you as an individual to go to your insurance company and make that deal, not have the government force your employer.
Hi, I'm Elliot, and this is Mental Floss on YouTube. Today I'm going to talk about some misconceptions that television, my favorite thing, taught you. Misconception number 1, it takes a few seconds to scan for fingerprints. On shows like CSI and Law & Order, the characters seem to have these unlimited resources. Instant fingerprint scanning and recognition is one of those. In reality, they would probably use the FBI's integrated automated fingerprint identification system. It takes around 27 minutes to search through its 70 million criminal fingerprints. Processing for a civilian's print takes an average of an hour and 12 minutes to search through 34 million prints. Misconception number 2, forensic labs are 100% accurate. This misconception is so common that it's even been given a name, the CSI effect. It has been studied because jurors who watch the show are less likely to be convinced by evidence unless it involves forensic science. In reality, according to the Washington Post, between 2002 and 2012, quote, failures were reported at about 30 federal, state, and local crime labs serving the FBI, the Army, and 8 of the nation's 20 largest cities. A study was actually conducted at Arizona State University about the CSI effect in 2007. One forensic scientist that they interviewed estimated that 40% of the science portrayed on CSI does not exist in real life. Shocker. Yet, viewers of CSI tend to rate themselves higher than other people when asked about their knowledge of forensic science. Misconception number 3, police officers always need warrants to search. In many crime shows, an officer is thwarted when they're forced to wait for a search warrant, but in reality, that's not always necessary. Like when a person consents to a search when there's probable cause, when something illegal is in plain view, or when a suspect is being arrested. Misconception number 4, air ducts are easy to crawl through. Characters have used air ducts to get around in shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, 24, and even Community, if you count monkeys. This isn't a good idea in real life for a few reasons. First of all, many shows have characters escaping from being locked up through a duct, which wouldn't work well because it actually makes a lot of noise. You get caught pretty much right away. Plus, ducts are used to transport air from place to place, so it could easily bend in a 90-degree angle that you wouldn't be able to crawl up or down. Finally, many people have gotten stuck in air ducts. They're generally built a little too small to transport people. I wonder if that's on purpose. Probably. Misconception number 5, when a person's heart starts flatlining, a shock to the heart can save them. You've seen this in basically like every medical show ever. A patient's heart monitor indicates that it's flatlining, and then a good-looking doctor rushes in and saves the day with a shock to the heart. But a flatline, also known as a systole, can be fixed with CPR or with a vasopressor and adrenaline. This is for very complicated scientific reasons that I don't really have time to get into, so I'll just quickly talk about when the shocks do and don't work. Basically, when someone is in cardiac arrest, a shock to the heart can cause electrolytes out of cells within the heart. Due to the different electrical charges of those electrolytes, the heart might start pumping again. A person who is flatlined, on the other hand, doesn't have those different electrical charges that those electrolytes need for this to work. A shock to a flatlined heart will just burn it. Misconception number 6, affairs, lies, and murder are rampant in the White House. Some shows portray a career in politics as the most dangerous thing you could possibly pursue. It's actually not that way in real life, at least according to Barack Obama, that is. While talking about scandal, he has said it's not that exciting, noting that staffers don't have enough time to engage in too much scandalous behavior. Misconception number 7, minimum wage workers can afford beautiful, spacious apartments. Bankrate.com recently consulted a few real estate brokers to see just how much television apartments would cost in real life. And 2 broke girls, Max and Carolyn, live in a fairly small apartment in Williamsburg. In reality, it would probably cost around $2,000 a month in rent. The apartments in the Big Bang Theory would be around the same cost, which might be feasible for a group of scientists, but maybe not a Cheesecake Factory employee like Penny. Misconception number 8, crimes are solved most of the time by the tons of people who work in that field. Let's be honest, shows like CSI and Law & Order can be real downers. Well, it turns out these shows have a kind of optimism as well, because Detective Olivia Benson and her various television peers are very, very good at their jobs. They solve pretty much 100% of the cases that they see. In reality, the NYPD solves around 57% of homicides. Interestingly, people who watch these shows often also overestimate the percentage of the population who are lawyers and police officers. A 2009 study from Purdue University found that these people believed lawyers made up around 16% of the workforce, and police officers are around 18%. In reality, it's less than 1% each. Misconception number 9, eyewitnesses are always accurate. Courtroom dramas rarely tackle the subject of inaccurate eyewitnesses. Generally, what they say is what the viewer also saw happen, but oftentimes, eyewitnesses misremember events and misidentify suspects. In fact, according to the American Psychological Association, quote, controlled experiments as well as studies of actual identifications have consistently found that the rate of incorrect identifications is approximately 33%. Guys, That's 1 in 3. Misconception number 10, emergency room workers are constantly saving people from heart attacks and strokes. I'm not going to tell you when to go to the emergency room and when not to go, but shows like ER and Grey's Anatomy really confuse their viewers about what the ER is all about. Chest pain and abdominal pain are the 2 most common symptoms for people visiting emergency rooms. But, unlike on TV, these visits generally don't end in a doctor saving a life. People visiting the ER who are actually experiencing heart attacks, strokes, or appendicitis are in the minority.
Come on, don't act like you don't know how this works. Glenn sits in a padded room, talks to himself, and guess what? You're the voices in his head. It's really creepy, but it works. Let's get back in there. Glenn Woods is back on the air.
Not even mass corruption, not even a smidgen of corruption. Okay.
The IRS has been targeting conservative groups.
Do you believe that there is not a smidgen of corruption in the IRS targeting of conservatives?
On the advice of my counsel, I respectfully exercise my Fifth Amendment right.
Tales. Stories made up from whole cloth. Lies.
Another day, another delay related to Obamacare.
The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimating Obamacare will cause Americans to leave the workforce.
Her monthly premium jumps $260.
I have not done anything wrong. I have not broken any laws.
The missing emails extend from 2009 to 2011, a period when Lerner headed the IRS's Exempt Organizations Division.
And that was the same time the IRS was using unfair and biased criteria to target and punish conservative groups.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
I hate to do this to you for the first segment of the second hour of the program, but if you are in possession of a Bold Republic barf bag, you're going to need to grab it now, and hang on, here we go. Second hour, Friday edition of the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Phone number 307-363-4093. It's open phones all Friday. For those watching by the video stream, you'll see that Dan Ekberg is sitting over there in the corner. I have him standing by for this next one. I let you guys know in advance when you will need use of your Bold Republic barf bag. By the way, Dan and DJ, there's still that couple that's in Casper, Wyoming, who needs to get their barf bag. We need to send it to them because they keep asking, and we need to send these out. For moments just like this, Dan has his handy barf bag ready to go. And I'm about to give him the story. You ready, folks? You got it up there? Okay, here we go. There's no getting ready for this. You're going to throw up a little bit in your mouth when I say the first word. Nancy Pelosi, was given a press conference yesterday. And remember, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. And she recommended, you ready, Dan? She recommended to everybody for Valentine's Day, sign your loved one up for Obamacare. And there goes Dan. Oh, gee, that's like a double there. Oh, the poor guy. She actually did that. You can watch the video of that. It's at my website at boldrepublic.com on my Daily Outrage page. Now, Dan has already put the address of the Wicked Witch of the West on the back of that so he can mail it to her. This is what you do with these. So, Dan, I'm sorry to have to do this, but you're going to need another one of these. So, Dan, he had a big lunch. It's okay, folks. He's got plenty in there. I was going to let Dan go with that one. But then I looked at what the next headline was, and I thought, I hate to torture this guy. So for those of you who have the Bold Republic barf bag, get your second bag ready to go. If not, pull a trash pail next to you. Do you remember a guy by the name of Manning? He was a soldier. He's the guy who turned over sensitive material to WikiLeaks. He's now facing 35 years in prison. The guy is transgendered. Ladies and gentlemen, according to a court ruling issued just yesterday, guess who's going to have to pay for his hormone therapy? You, Dan, the taxpayer, will have to pay for his hormone therapy. And there goes the cheeseburger that Dan just had for lunch. Oh, that poor guy. Dan, there's some mouthwash and toothpaste there, and if you want to go ahead and take care of that, he's out here. Don't leave the barf bag in here with me. Oh, my God, that stinks. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, we invented the Bold Republic barf bag. Let me go ahead and give you the full story on that last one. And every now and then, it nauseates me just thinking about it. Every now and then, a story comes along. It reads, this is from Breitbart News. Story comes along that captures everything wrong with modern America, the Army's decision to pay for hormone treatment. So a convicted national security leaker, Bradley Manning, can transform himself into Chelsea Manning while doing time at Leavenworth. All right. We don't really need to discuss this, but we were discussing this earlier today here in the office, and it's this simple. This is this simple. Would you like, let's just say you're in prison. God knows what you did. You're in prison, and you want to go through, just roll with me on this one. You want to go through surgery to make yourself a different sex. Okay, fine. Do you have money? Well, if you have money to go do it, then by all means, you should be able to go get the surgery done. And if that's what you want to do in prison, I guess they're going to have to transfer you to a woman's prison after that, if you're a man, to a woman's prison, if that's what you want to do. But it needs to be your money. Now, what happens if you don't have the money? Well, then I guess you can't get that done. I wouldn't even fault anyone, a judge, if a judge were to say, hey, you can get that done as soon as you get out of prison. Now, if you're going through a life sentence, well, then I guess you got a bit of a problem. But for the taxpayers to pay for it, okay. Well, the story continues from USA Today. Quote, after carefully considering the recommendation of the hormone treatment, this is from the judge, it is medically appropriate and necessary. Really. This is what's called necessary treatment now. And weighing all the associated safety and security risk present, I approve, said the judge, adding hormone treatment to inmate Manning treatment plan. The commandment of the 4th Leavenworth Disciplinary Barracks, Kansas, wrote in a memo. Formerly named Bradley Manning, the soldier was convicted of sending classified documents and anti-secrecy to the anti-secrecy website, WikiLeaks. Manning is serving a 35-year prison sentence and is ineligible for parole in about 7 years. Now, that's something that I've never understood. You're serving a 35-year sentence, but you can get out in 7. Could somebody explain to me how the hell that's a 35-year sentence? You're serving a 35-year sentence, so it's 35 years. DJ says on the video stream, can't Chelsea get a big house job and pay for the sex change? Hey, look, I don't know. Maybe they don't make a lot of money working at the library or in the laundry room, DJ. I don't know how that works, but if I were the judge in this case, I would have simply said, look, you want to get the sex change, that's fine. When you get out of prison, you can get it done. Why should we have to pay for that? Well, at Manning's trial, I'm going to reject this. At Manning's trial, her attorneys, well, okay, Manning is not yet a her, so I reject that. His attorneys argue that he had been disillusioned by the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and believes the release of the documents, including diplomatic cables, military reports, should be seen by the public. Manning, didn't you used to get the firing squad for stuff like this? Manning sued the federal government for access to the treatment. The Army referred the question about Manning and the Department to the Department of Justice, which was handling the case. Nicole Navis, Justice Department spokeswoman, declined to comment, saying the government's position is, you're going to love this, detailed in the court findings. So she's just not going to talk. I bet she just doesn't want to talk about it. The American Civil Liberties Union, which represented Manning in the case, did not have immediate comment to the Army's memo. Manning had asked for hormone therapy to be able to live as a woman. Well, okay, hold on. Before I finish that sentence. If he's in an all-male prison, he can be the woman. I'm not going to say any more about it. Manning had asked for hormone therapy to live as a woman Transgendered individuals are not allowed to serve in the U.S. military, and the Defense Department does not provide the treatment. The Department of Veterans Affairs, however, does provide the treatment for veterans. And once again, somebody out there in their infinite wisdom decided it was necessary. So, if you are a veteran who served your country honorably, and you have a serious medical issue, you could end up on a secret death list. Think about that. You served your country honorably. You go to the VA hospital to seek treatment, and you wind up quite literally on an alternate list. The list that they have that says you'll be up for treatment real soon is a lie. There's a hidden list which keeps pushing you back to the end of the line. Hopefully you'll be able to see a doctor before you're dead. But if you're a guy who basically spied for the country, and again, old days, he would have been up in front of a firing squad a long time ago. But no, instead, he gets to go to a nice, comfortable prison and go through his hormone therapy, sex change operation, and you wonder at your expense, and you wonder why Dan had to grab a second barf bag and heave ho on that one.
Bold Republic.
Jack's Liquor in Gillette, Wyoming presents the 2015 Minnow Races. Yes, the water's been set to the perfect temperature, and those little tails have been doing laps. Who's the fastest minnow in all of Northeast Wyoming? Well, here's a chance to bring your friends, have some brews, and watch those little fillets compete for the title. This February, come to Jack's Liquor for the 2015 Minnow Races.
Jack's Liquor and Bar, your adult daycare center, is having minnow races February 21st at 7 p.m., raising money for Wyoming Cares.
Excuse me, I wonder if you could help me find the baked beans.
Sure, let me take you to them.
What, really?
Well, yeah, this way.
I mean, you're actually helping me?
Sure, just follow me.
I'm in a grocery store, right?
Right.
Who actually gets help in one of these places?
Sir, this is Don's Supermarket in Gillette. Family owned and operated. Look, there's the owner right over there.
But he's actually helping somebody, personally.
I know, crazy, isn't it? Did you need a steak? Top sirloin steak, $5.99 a pound. We have fresh strawberries, 16-ounce containers, 2 for $5. Green bell peppers, 69 cents a piece. Lady Alice apples, $1.79. Sweet cantaloupe, 49 cents a pound. Here you go, sir. Baked beans. It's okay. It's okay. Let it out. Just let it out.
Really? I thought customer service was dead.
Not at Don's.
Daydreaming, son. It's time to get prepared. Time to get off your sofa and run yourself down to Surplus Unlimited in the Gun Trader's building. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Civilian soldier, they got everything you could need. That's right, the surplus is unlimited. Surplus Unlimited ammo for babies and adults.
That's right, babies need camos too.
10 different styles of camo.
Oh, don't you look pretty.
550 cord, numerous colors. Wool blankets, boots, hats, gloves, coats, shirts, tactical vests and belts, camping supplies, high-quality army cots, and that hard-to-find P38 can opener. Save time, save money. Surplus Unlimited in the Gun Trader's building. 801 Carlisle on the Douglas Highway across from the fishing lake. Gillette, Wyoming.
Win thousands of dollars in a single game at Gillette Downtown Bingo. The current Bonanza jackpot is over $3,900. Fun and warm atmosphere with a smoke-free glass house. Never played bingo before? No problem. The friendly staff enjoys working with new players. Purchase a tasty dinner at the Snack Shack in the hall. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 5:30 to 10 p.m. Gillette Downtown Bingo, 212 South Gillette Avenue, Gillette, Wyoming.
Hey, Frank, you're actually gonna fall for that hook, are you? I'm just so hungry, and the lure looks so good. Yeah, well, just look up through the ice hole at that guy. Hey, he's got all the latest gear, doesn't he? He's so warm and comfortable, and the top window sportsman clothing, and fishing pole, and the best lures, nice comfortable chairs, coolers, warmers. He's got it all. I can't stand it. I'm gonna bite the hook. Are you seriously gonna fall for that? No, it's just that it has to be warmer up there above the ice and down here in the water. Yeah, and that frying pan he's got on the fire's a lot more.
Rocky Mountain Discount Sports has everything that the ice fisherman needs for the winter. Lines and lures, rods and reels. Special outfits to keep you warm, tents to keep the wind away, and the right kind of lures for winter fishing. Rocky Mountain Discount Sports, 4706 South Douglas Highway in Gillette, Wyoming. Open Monday through Saturday, 8 till 9, Sunday 9 to 6.
Come on, don't act like you don't know how this works. Glenn sits in a padded room, talks to himself, and guess what? You're the voices in his head. It's really creepy, but it works. Let's get back in there. Glenn Woods is back on the air.
Hey, I got a question for you. If Jon Stewart is retiring, then where are liberals going to get their news from? No, honestly, liberals treated Jon Stewart as a news source. When surveys were taken about where people, especially those who voted Democrat, got their news, a lot of them listed Jon Stewart as their news source. If Jon Stewart retires, where are liberals getting their news from? Don't tell me MSNBC. Not many people are watching MSNBC anymore. So where do they have to go? I don't know. Maybe Jon Stewart should take over an NBC. Well, Brian Williams is leaving. I mean, why? Look, it's a perfect switch as far as I'm concerned. Brian Williams, who you didn't know, was embellishing the truth, which is exactly what he was doing, taking a true story and adding details to it. So Brian Williams embellishing the truth. Jon Stewart, who flat out is just there for entertainment purposes, is not even trying to tell the truth. So what's the difference? I think it's a perfect change. Let's go ahead with just, I'd like to turn in his resume. If I could send in Jon Stewart's resume, I'd send it into NBC right now. Okay. This next one is a little tricky, but I can handle this. I need you to listen carefully and closely, if you would please, to what's about to be said. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Biden. Old Joe. And you know, when Joe Biden opens his mouth, there are liberals out there who think that Joe Biden is a wise old man. Well, but of course they would. These are the same people that get their news by listening to Jon Stewart. So, okay, of course they would think that Joe Biden's a wise old man. Now, I'm going to play this. He's calling out a buddy of his somewhere out in the crowd. He's speaking in front of a bunch of people. An old friend of his is in the crowd, and Joe Biden calls him out. What does this sound like to you?
And Neil Smith, an old buddy. Are you here, Neil?
Okay. Now, I'm going to play that again, because the first time I heard that, and this is going viral, by the way. Now, I can explain what actually happened. I bet old Joe can explain what exactly happened there. It's a reasonable, logical explanation, but it's what it sounds like that he said.
And Neil Smith, an old buddy. Are you here, Neil?
Yeah. Okay, what he was trying to say is an old buddy of mine, but he stumbled on the letter B. I did I get it? He was just trying to say an old buddy of mine, but he stumbles on the letter B. One last time, and then I'm going to put it down and slowly walk away. Ladies and gentlemen, your Vice President of the United States of America.
And Neil Smith, an old buddy. Are you here?
Yeah, okay. Walking away from that one nice and slow. Not going there. Not going to talk about it. Shirley MacLaine's back in the news. Now, I turned on the television some months ago, and there was a movie. I don't remember what the name of the movie is, but a young Shirley MacLaine was in this movie. And it really struck me, first off, at a very young age, she was a very attractive young lady. And I've always thought that she was a pretty darn good actress. You know, at the time, I'm looking at this going, no, her performance in this movie is really well done. But she has always been one of the flakiest, weirdest, but that's Shirley MacLaine. I don't know how she's going to get out of this one. Story reads, actress and Democrat Party supporter who gets her news by watching Jon Stewart. Doesn't say that, but I'm just adding that in here. Shirley MacLaine is under fire for suggesting that 6 million Jews slaughtered by the Nazis were paying for their past life sins. Well, look, That's what she said. Now, look, she is a big believer in past lives and astrology and psychic stuff and so on. She always has been. And has written several books about past lives. And I've been listening to this and seeing about or hearing about her book since, gee, I can't remember when. Goes way back. Well, according to the Daily Mail, the Oscar winner writes in a new memoir. So it's written down. Can't get out of it, Shirley. You didn't just say it, you wrote it. What if, she says, what if most Holocaust victims were balancing their karma from ages before? When they were Roman soldiers putting Christians to death, the Crusaders who murdered millions in the name of Christianity, soldiers with Hannibal, or those who stormed across the Near East with Alexander. The energy of those killings is endless and would be experienced by the killer and the killee. So, her thought is, apparently these people committed some horrible atrocities, and that is why they had to go through the Holocaust. To atone for that. Okay, that's Shirley MacLaine. Now that it's out there, let's just see what happened. Now, I've got a question. What did you and I do in a past life to deserve Obama? Can you explain that to me? I would really like to know what we did in a past life to deserve Nancy Pelosi. Could you explain that to me? What did we do in a past life to deserve Harry Reid? Could somebody please explain, was I guilty of some horrible sin that you just got to keep torturing me with these people? Because I just can't seem to get rid of them. Whatever we did in our past lives, folks, it's coming back on us with people that we just can't seem to get rid of no matter how hard we try. Was I that way in a past life? Was I somebody who just wouldn't go away? Like the guy at a party who doesn't know when to leave? Was that me in a past life? It was just so bad that we just decided, you know something, you're gonna be born into a country that is the freest country the world has ever seen. But wait, no. Just when you reach maturity, you've become an adult so you can leave home and live your own life. We are going to give you the Democrat Party, the Wicked Witch of the West, Harry Reid, Barney Frank. We're going to give you people like this. We're going to give you Republicans who are really Democrats. And here's the worst part of it there. The rest of the country is going to adore these people and reelect them and reelect them and reelect them. And you're just going to have to suffer through your entire life. And it's just going to get worse. And they're going to get more powerful. It sounds kind of depressing, isn't it? Using Shirley MacLaine's past life regression karma thing that she's coming up with, I think it's probably a good explanation as to why we're going through what we're going through right now. Story reads, MacLaine is a longtime supporter of the Democrat Party and gets her news from Jon Stewart. The Jon Stewart thing isn't here. I'm just adding that in. An ardent abortion activist lobbied 1972 Democrat Convention for Abortion Rights Party platform. She's grandmother of the liberal icon Representative Dennis Kucinich. Wow. She's the grandmother of Dennis Kucinich? Holy cow. What did Dennis Kucinich do in a past life to deserve Shirley MacLaine as a grandmother? 2013, she received the Kennedy Center Award from President Barack Obama. She has suggested, you're going to love this one, she has suggested an alien may have been responsible for Ronald Reagan's presidency. No, she actually did suggest that. Now, we know that that part's true because if you've ever gone to the grocery store and taken a look over at some of the tabloid newspapers there, yeah, no, you've seen it. There's the photographs right there. National Enquirer, things like that. So President Ronald Reagan, look, you watch the movie Men in Black, you know that the tabloid newspapers are really the source for real news in this country. So obviously that and the Jon Stewart Show is where, in National Enquirer and Star Magazine and the Jon Stewart Show is where Shirley MacLaine gets her news.
The refrigerator. Is it just a cold box for your foodstuffs? Or is it more? Can we learn something about people by looking into their private polar repository? I think yes. What do we have here? Last night's leftover chicken casserole, meat in loaf fashion, broccoli and Brussels sprouts, and a little Riesling to take the edge off. Any guesses? You're looking at the fridge of a mom. But we are just getting started. Here we see various colors and levels of sports drink, remnants of orange chicken, 5 different hot sauces, and a mysterious Tupperware of brown. As you might have ascertained, this is the refrigerator of any male living by himself, ages 18 to 32. Pitiful, really. Hopefully he meets someone soon. Okay, I see a carton of eggs with 6 missing. 1 peanut butter cup, a half-eaten carrot cake, 3 cans of soda pop, and half a slice of pizza. This is the fridge of a pessimist. Or an optimist. Could go either way, really. Whoa, Nelly. Here we see magazine cutouts, pictures of a man taken from afar, a homemade doll of Don Cheadle, roasted red pepper hummus, and a severed human arm. Why, yes, we are looking into the refrigerator of a serial killer. You really should put that arm in the freezer. Oh my, look what we have here. A grand feast. Ripe fruit, steaming plump turkey legs, wheels of cheese, brightly colored neon frosting pies. What's that? You don't see it? Well, you're just not believing. There you go. You're believing. Don't stop believing. Yes. There. It's the refrigerator of the Lost Boys from the film Hook. Bangarang. Oh my goodness, look at this. Is that pudding? Why, yes, it's pudding. Lots and lots of nothing but pudding. Whose refrigerator is this? This is my refrigerator. I'm the narrator, and I love pudding. I am also your biological father. Your mother was insane. She fell in love with that monkey that the Russians sent up into space. I was working the mines, titanium ore. I'd sneak you in each morning in a satchel, and then put you into a bin of titanium ore on the way out each evening. If you have asthma, this is probably why. But you probably also like butterscotch pudding, and I've got a lot of that. So I apologize for putting you up for adoption, but I would like to reconnect and enjoy pudding with you in the present.
So let's see what happens if I just go ahead and call the offices of the NSA. That's odd.
Hello, Glenn. This is the NSA.
I was just
going to call us? Right. We heard.
Well, this can't possibly get any creepier.
We thought we would save you the trouble of looking the number up, sir. By the way, you shouldn't wear that color of shirt on camera.
I look fine on camera.
No, sir. I mean our camera.
And it just got creepy.
By the way, we found that email you were looking for this morning.
How did you... Oh, right.
Just trying to be helpful, sir. You know our motto.
Let me guess. NSA, watching you every step of the way.
Cradle to the grave, sir, and beyond.
Yeah, I know, Mom, but they offered me more money to produce Glenn's show now that it's syndicated. Sure, I know. Stocking shelves at Walmart at 2 a.m. has a heck of a lot more prestige than... Whoa, hang on, Mom. Be right back. Let's get back in there. Here's Glenn Woods. Oh, come on, Mom. Stop crying.
It's a Friday edition Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Phone number if you want to get involved. And yeah, you're allowed to talk about what you want to talk about. Not just what I'm talking about. 307-363-4093. For those who are watching on the video stream, you saw it. I'll explain it now to the radio audience out there. There's a cartoon of some old hippie activist, probably a college professor now. He's sitting on a bike, and he has a sign that says oil with a red circle and a line crossing the oil out. And it reads, with fossil fuels. Stupid hat made with what? I mean, it may be a cotton hat or something like that, but without fossil fuels, how is the machine going to work to make his hat? Glasses, well, do you need fossil fuels to make today's modern glasses? Yes. Nylon, polyester clothing, fossil fuels. Camera that he has around his neck, fossil fuels. Carbon bike fiber for the bicycle that he's wearing, carbon bike fiber, okay. Water bottle, which is plastic, which is made from fossil fuels, okay. Car keys for driving to the protest. Now, either that's a car that rides on fossil fuels, or it's a car that rides on fossil fuels, because if he has an electric car, what does it run on? It's a coal-powered car, right. And by the way, the keys, well, that's metal, so you need fossil fuels to get at that. The phone that he has there is not just made with all sorts of plastics, which is fossil fuels, but, and I know Sweden wants to call now and say, stop saying fossil fuels. Okay. Oil, how about that? Laptop, same thing. Plastic sign, same thing. Oh, by the way, you have to charge that phone. Electricity. Okay. Next to that is the cartoon of the same weird-looking college professor. Unfortunately, he's wearing nothing but leaves around the midsection and carrying a stick. That's life without fossil fuels. There you go. Now, on that note, let's head over to Boston, because I told you guys about this yesterday. There was going to be a big protest. They want you, if you're invested in oil, gas, coal, any of those things, starting today, they're asking people around the world to divest, not invest, but divest. In other words, take your money out of gas, coal, oil, anything like that. And they run a commercial for it, and this was supposed to be a big campaign. Now, I went and looked up the video they have. They have a video commercial for this campaign, and the thing starts today. This is supposed to be a big movement. They only had like 32,000 hits for an international, worldwide, global movement. But there's a problem today. See, the protest, you already know where I'm going with this before I get to it, but let's do it anyway. The protest was supposed to start today in the city of Boston. Headline, too cold to protest global warming at Yale. Yale anti-fossil fuel campaigns have indefinitely postponed a protest that was set for this weekend due to unfavorable weather conditions and logistical issues. Well, yeah, you know, global warming, in other words. Fossil-free Yale, a group pushing the university to divest itself from fossil fuels, told the Yale Digest that frigid snow weather set for this weekend will mean their global warming protests will be postponed. Dan at the front office, carbon-based fuels. You're going to get me in trouble with Swede. I know. I understand. It just says it all over the place. That's why I'm reading it. But you're right. I think Swede is right about that. It's not fossil fuels. It's carbon-based fuels is what you really want to say. Mitch Barrow said unfavorable weather conditions and logistical issues, including some cancellations from speakers and performance groups, would mean that they would not be able to rally on Global Divestment Day against global warming. Yeah. You know, there's something, does this qualify as karma or something like that? You know what gets me about this whole thing? Is Al Gore wasn't even scheduled to speak.
Trending in February.
So over in that corner, we have three guys talking about Bigfoot. Over there, they're talking about the game that's on the TV above their heads. That table, I've lost track of what they were talking about a long time ago, but the conversation keeps getting louder. Then someone puts their favorite song in the jukebox, and here comes that guy who thinks he can dance, but he can't dance, but he thinks he can. Nobody really cares that he can. In a moment, I'm going to walk over to their giant humidor and pick out a nice stogie. They have great cigars in a huge humidor. Pat's Liquor, where if you haven't made friends, then you haven't been there more than 2 minutes. Give it another minute and make some friends at Pat's Liquor, 600 South Douglas Highway, Gillette, Wyoming, right next to Wells Fargo Bank. Happy hour, 4:30 till 7.
I'm Professor Burke from Farmers Insurance, and this is 30 Seconds of Smart. So you want discounts on your home insurance? Upgrade your roof. Upgrade your plumbing. Get a burglar alarm. Get a fire alarm. Combine policies with your spouse. Bundle your coverage. Quit smoking. And, of course, talk to farmers, because the more you know about home insurance, the more you can save.
We are farmers.
Get smarter about your insurance at farmers.com.
Stop by and see Lyle Austin, 201 West Lakeway Road in the Lakeway Professional Center, 686-5002. That's 686-5002.
Hello, Americans. This is Rod with your local American-made store here in Gillette, Wyoming, where it's always made right here in the USA. Have you seen our stainless steel art? It's beautiful. Yes, and he will do custom. Framed artwork. Check out our selection. Top-of-the-line stuffed olives, flavored olive oils. And yes, we have toys and Okabashi sandals. Free pocket constitution with purchase. We are the solution for this great nation. Get informed. Don't forget your veterans. God bless America, and buy American. Matters. MyMadeInAmericaStore.com.
Win thousands of dollars in a single game at Gillette Downtown Bingo. The current Bonanza jackpot is over $3,900. Fun and warm atmosphere with a smoke-free glass house. Never played bingo before? No problem. The friendly staff enjoys working with new players. Purchase a tasty dinner at the Snack Shack in the hall. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 5:30 to 10 p.m. Gillette Downtown Bingo, 212 South Gillette Avenue, Gillette, Wyoming.
Pool leagues, dart leagues. Saturday night is ladies' night. Poker every Wednesday night. Domestic beers and draft on sale, and special daily dollar shots. We even have a packaged liquor drive-thru and many other things for you. It's Lakeside Liquor, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. till 2 a.m. Sunday, 11 till 11, because you need to relax after where you've been. Work is hard for the ladies and gents. Come to Lakeside Liquor. Relax and vent. Lakeside Liquors across from Wyoming Work Warehouse in Gillette.
The way you
This week's Bold Republic, Bold Lie of the Week, Global Divestment Day, pulling your money from the fossil fuel industry.
Today, in oil, gas and coal reserves around the world, there is 5 times more burnable fuel than will ever be safe to burn. Yet, despite undeniable proof that they're fueling a climate crisis, the fossil fuel industry is ploughing on with its mission to find more. These companies, with all their financial might, are the biggest obstacle to climate progress. They have our political process in shackles with their lobbying power, their arm-bending of politicians, and their spreading of false information. And they are enjoying billions in government subsidies every year. Fossil fuel companies only care about one thing: money.
Well, there's just too many lies to count in that commercial.
The way you
This has been your Bold Republic, Bold Lie of the Week.
Sorting through the nonsensical nonsense that makes your life a living hell. It's Glenn Woods. BoldRepublic.com.
Let's head back to Boston real quick. Shock news! I know this is going to stun you people. Cold winters in Boston have more snow. That is climate news, I swear. I'm going to read the story. Climate experts. I'm so glad we have experts to tell us this stuff. Climate experts say that global warming causes heavy snow in Boston because they have combined IQ of a turnip. That's what the story says. So, you know, I'm getting it from a website called Real Science. And I like that first sentence so much, I'm going to read it again. Climate experts say that global warming causes heavy snow in Boston because they have the combined IQ of a turnip. I would even say a very ripe turnip, but okay. And any preschooler could tell you cold winters in Boston have more snow and warmer winters have less snow. Let me put that to you another way. Duh. But climate activists out there are trying to currently tell you that the reason that they have more snow in Boston right now is because of global warming. Despite the fact that the planet hasn't warmed in 18 years, and what do we got, 3 months right now? Or are we working on, we're working on the 4th month of no global warming. Was 2014 a warmer year? Yes, it was a warmer year, but that original story that you heard that it was the warmest on record ever was already proven to just flat out be a lie. And now I just still can't get over it. They were going to start a big climate movement. Just cash in all of the money that you have anything that you have invested in coal, gas, oil, any of those horrible carbon fuels, get rid of them. And that movement was supposed to start today, but they canceled the big rally because of all of the snow. No, seriously, I don't know if I will ever get tired of talking about that. Rand Paul has weighed in on climate change. This is newsy, not the sense that Rand Paul is saying anything new or shocking on the subject, but kind of wow. Here's the story in front of me. Reads, it makes no sense. Paul is not a climate converter or anything like that. He has questioned the validity of climate science and left plenty of rhetoric room for the opposite environmental policy. Paul also has called the pillar of Obama's second climate agenda regulations to rein in carbon emissions from power plants and assault on our economy, and vowed to block the regulations. But in recent months, Paul has indicated that human activity is contributing to climate change and suggested support for cutting climate emissions. So that kind of bothers me. Is he saying something like this to get elected, or is he actually seeing some kind of a change? Well, let's get back to the story. Paul also sees an upside to the environmental regulation in some cases. He says, I'm not against regulation. I think the environment has been cleaned up dramatically through regulations on emissions as well as clean water over the last 40 years. But I don't want to shut down all forms of energy such that thousands and thousands of people lose their jobs. Quoting here, he says, this is a packed field, so we're going to have people using anything they can to discredit each other. He says, so I can see Cruz, Rubio, and others playing whack-a-mole on this. Okay. And I kind of well, if he's going to run for office again, if he's going to run for president of the United States, I don't know this, but I wonder if he's sort of fishing around for a way to position himself or not, which would greatly disappoint me because I like Rand Paul, and I would rather have a guy that just simply told it like it was. I know some people in politics are going to disagree with me, but tell it like it is despite the politics of it. Tell me what you really think despite the politics of it. Scott Walker recently just yesterday, ran into trouble over this. What is your take, Mr. Walker, on evolution? And he hems and haws at the answer. Just say what you really think about evolution. Just say it. Understand, you want to run for president of the United States, the rule is this. No matter what you say, somebody's going to find a way to beat you up over it. It doesn't matter what you say, they're going to beat you up over it. That's just the way that is because you're running for president. But you really make yourself look bad when you start to do what we just saw Rand Paul there. That's really disappointing to me. When you see them kind of back and forth and they're trying to find the right position and the right wording, they hesitate. They come back with clarification on their hesitation. See, that's where you really blow it when you're running for office, especially blow it in my mind. I would rather you said what you really thought and I disagreed with you. And I'll give you credit for and you know, most Americans do this. Most Americans, even if they disagree, give someone credit for just flat out speaking their mind, whether they agree with them or not. What we don't like is wishy-washy flip-flop. That's what we don't like.
Hello, welcome to Coffee Cabana. Our special today is the popular Mocha Mocha Kappa Mocha Kappa. What can I blend for you today?
Cup of coffee, please.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, just a regular size coffee, please. That's all.
Oh, I guess I don't understand.
What part of that don't you understand?
Well, for one, we have several different sizes: petite, medio, alto, forte, muy grande, and crescendo.
All right. I just want a small cup of regular coffee, please.
But
Okay, look. Point to the cup that's the smallest. Okay, there you go. That's the one.
Oh, okay, I see. And what would you like at that?
Coffee.
And?
Just coffee.
But we have syrups and powders and toppings and frappalapalattas.
Just coffee. Plain old coffee in a frickin' cup.
Oh,
Look, okay, take the cup. Perfect. Now, hold it under the coffee spout. Good. Now fill it up. There you go. Now, give it to me.
that's it?
Yes, that's all.
Well, how odd.
Whatever. How much?
$6.50, sir.
Sorry?
$6.50.
How is this little cup of coffee more expensive than a gallon of gasoline in my car? I didn't even add any frappa, lappa, mocha, crap or whatever to it.
Well, sir, the beans are dried on solar panels.
Never mind.
And then we use wind power
Forget it.
But we're green.
Look, I'll give you $20 if you don't say another word.
But,
nope. There you go. Good girl.
Might I suggest trading that for a decaf?
Sorting through the nonsensical nonsense that makes your life a living hell. It's Glenn Woods. OldRepublic.com.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget, during the course of the weekend, keep checking out my website, boldrepublic.com. Not only can you catch up on old shows that are at boldrepublic.com, but you can catch up on special YouTube videos, news I've been talking about. Also on the front page, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, my email address, my YouTube page. It's all right there, so you can just friend, follow, subscribe, whatever you'd like to do, and drop me a note if you would. So that's all at boldrepublic.com. Remember, there were college professors. Well, there are college professors now that used to be hippies. Now, what did the hippies say that they stood for? Well, freedom, man, and end to oppression, man. Oh, yeah, they were going to fight the man. Remember that? Okay. Then they become the college professors, and who are they now? They are the man. And they're acting worse than the original man. So the latest from a college campus somewhere in America. This is from the Reason Foundation, Reason.com. Headline: College students are infants and deserve zero free speech or sex rights, says Slate magazine. Wow. Okay, so Eric Posner, University of Chicago law professor and son of the famed federal judge Richard Posner, makes the case in Slate that college students don't really deserve free speech or due process rights. He also chides libertarians outraged by the campus censorship for thinking that 18-year-olds, infants, as he says in his view, are intellectually capable of thriving in a non-coercive environment. So this guy would be completely in favor of free speech zones if he allows you to have free speech at all. College, think about this. They're being treated this way in high school. They get to college, and we're going to treat them the same way. We're going to coddle them every step of the way. Let me ask you something, Mr. Professor, before I finish reading the story here. At what point do you allow these kids to grow up? And second, do you realize that growing up is a process? You're supposed to get more and more responsibility the older you get, and also that means dealing with the consequences of taking on that responsibility when you blow it. That's one thing that really kills me. I'm serious. It really bothers me is, well, we can't let them do such and such because they might make a mistake and somebody could get hurt. And the answer is no. You let kids from infant on up to college, you let them make the mistake so they will fail so they can learn. If you coddle them, they never become adults, and this guy doesn't think they are adults. All right, here's a little snippet of what he said. Conservatives and libertarians are up in arms. They see these rules as an assault on free speech and individual liberty. They think universities are treating students like children, and they are right, says this college professor. But they also have not considered that the justification for these policies may lie in a hidden plain in sight, that students are children, not in terms of age, but in terms of maturity. Even in college, they must be protected like children while being prepared to be adults. So, okay, look, we can see now clearly, for you college students out there, if there's any listening right now, I would say that what you're hearing from this is typical of a lot of hardcore leftist college professors out there. You are to be treated like children. You are to do what you are told. You're not allowed to have any rights. That includes freedom of speech to date whomever you want to date, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, look, I know every so often I read about what happens on college campuses around the country when it comes to outrageous frat parties, binge parties, drinking, whatever the hell. Okay, fine. Fully expect that. That's been happening on campuses across the world since the first universities were invented. So what's new here? Okay, this is where as you become an adult, you get all of this out of your system and make your mistakes and realize why that behavior is not good because you're living it. Some things you have to learn by doing. You have to learn the hard way. This professor goes on to say there is an unpopular romantic notion that students receive their university education through free and open debate about the issues every day. He says nothing could be further from the truth. Whoa, did you hear that? Let me read that again. There is a popular romantic notion that students receive their university education through free and open debate about the issues on the day. Nothing could be further from the truth. Students who enter college know hardly anything at all. I think he's right about that. That's why they need an education. Classroom teachers know students won't learn anything if they blab their opinions. You see, this is what they think. I just want college students around America to know. This is what your professors think of you. You showed up stupid and uneducated, and now while they're trying to teach you something, you're going to open up your big stupid mouth and blab your stupid opinion. Where the professor's wrong is, part of the learning process is doing just that, blabbing your stupid opinion and realizing that you're in fact young and naive and you have a stupid opinion. We all had to go through that. How do you think you get wise old men? Because they were once young and stupid, and they learned. Hold on, I'm going to carry this over into the third hour of the program. Local news for your local radio stations. Here we go.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Afterburner. I'm Bill Whittle. Well, there's been a major outbreak of measles at Disneyland, and the issue of immunization has been hot in the news lately. And because it's in the hands of the modern news media, formerly composed of those truth-seeking individuals called journalists, but now the domain of agenda-driven ideologues, most accurately referred to as the audiovisual department of the Democratic Party, somehow in the ongoing debate about immunization, it's the Republicans who've been tarred with the label anti-science. Now, Rand Paul, who we might want to remember is in fact a medical doctor, said that he was against the government forcing people to immunize their children. That's not anti-science, that's anti-coercion. Paul's children are in fact immunized. Like Rand Paul, I fervently believe in the power of immunization, and like Rand Paul, I find the idea of the government forcing a needle into the arm of your child against your will more of a threat than a measles outbreak. Now, the truth, of course, is that immunization has saved not millions, but billions of lives. There does seem to be some compelling evidence of certain individuals having toxic, sometimes debilitating, and occasionally fatal reactions to immunization. So I'm not saying that the immunization process can't be improved. I am saying that it has been by far the largest single advance in human health in all of history. And to say that Republicans think otherwise is utter nonsense. Look, if the stereotypical conservative kid is driving dad's pickup truck at age 10 and the stereotypical progressive kid has to wear a safety helmet when taking a shower, then we get to the real heart of the issue of which side is most often, not exclusively, but most often, of sound mind and body. Conservative farm kids are virtually allergy-free and they don't get sick very often. Why? Well, because they're daily cut, scraped, scratched, and dinged in an environment that's just full of bacteria. That develops a healthy immune system because it's repeatedly exposed to real pathogens. They get a booster shot every time they get a small cut on the hand. Now, in stark contrast, progressive kids raised in a New York penthouse living in a world of disinfectant sprays and hand sanitizers and all the rest have allergy rates that are going through the roof, and that's because they're not exposed to genuine pathogens, and the allergic reaction is simply the immune system attacking its own body because it can't tell friend from foe because there are no foes. Now, these cliched examples of conservative and progressive attitudes towards disease and immunity are the difference between trying to prevent your child from drowning by putting a fence, warning signs, and lifeguards at every body of water on the planet versus, teaching your child how to swim. And the most disturbing thing about progressive child-rearing practices is not how they attempt to isolate and protect their children's bodies from external threat, as opposed to stressing them a little so that they're prepared for greater stresses later on. It's what this progressive attitude does to their children's minds is what we really have to fear. Losing a baseball game is like getting a smallpox vaccination. It hurts, but not enough to kill you. And in response to the hurt, the body produces the tools and the strength to fight back when the real disease comes calling. When progressives insist on not keeping score at baseball games because they don't want to damage a child's confidence and self-esteem, well, they are in fact depriving that child of confidence and self-esteem because real confidence and self-esteem come from getting up after defeat, not from never having to face defeat. And all across the board, we're finding children of this progressive obsession with isolation rather than immunization, producing miserable, unhappy, utterly terrified, and completely dysfunctional adult children who have not, will not, ever grow up. It's a form of child abuse. Immunization works, and it works as effectively on the psyche as it does on the immune system. Childhood should be a time of introducing manageable stress into what we hope will become strong, self-reliant adults. And when progressives deny both to their children, they're not protecting them. They're eliminating their ability to not only survive, but to thrive, to be happy. Because happiness, ultimately, is freedom from fear. We're the land of the free because we're the home of the brave. And we didn't defeat the British or the Nazis or the Japanese or the communists or the jihadis by celebrating our indigo auras. We did it by slowly building strength, by being of both sound mind and body. And while progressive parents are having Aristotelian arguments with 2-year-old children writhing on, screaming on the floor of the toy department, other children across the world are watching as men are being burned alive in cages. Now, both of those kids are going to grow up someday, and when they do, we're going to find ourselves in real trouble.
Bold Republic.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
When the deal goes down, all of this talk about rules, we make them up as we go along.
Homes that are occupied may see an ebb and flow in the price, but you're not going to see the collapse that you see when people talk about a bubble.
Die quickly. That's right. The Republicans want you to die quickly.
I don't worry about the Constitution on this, to be honest.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and
this liberal will be all about socializing, basically taking over and the government running all of your companies.
I took the initiative in creating the internet.
We will keep this promise. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan, period.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
Third and final hour of the program as we delve into what college professors really think about college students and why they set up things like free speech zones and so on. You're just a bunch of little infants. Hey, it's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. So, okay, third final hour of the program here. For those just joining me, here's what I've been doing. So there's a college professor. Let me go back up and see where he's from here. At the University of Chicago, law school professor, Richard Posner. And he says that college students, this is a quote, are infants. They deserve zero free speech, sex rights. They just deserve to be treated as infants. Okay. DJ, that was really remarkable what you sent. Got to give you high points and credit for that one. That's like extra credit on your test there. She points out that Obamacare means that a student can stay on, or at that age, well, anyone, 26 years old, up to 26 years old on your parents' insurance. Now, part of the reason that they did that was it was supposed to be when they set up Obamacare that young people who don't have many medical problems compared to old people, young people would have these very expensive plans under Obamacare, and that would help pay for the older people who would be actually making claims on their insurance. But they knew that young people up to 26 years old are not making much money. They're in college or they have their first job out there and they're not making a whole lot of money. So that means they can stay on their parents' insurance so their parents can pay for it. That was the point of that. But we're still treating them like children. Now, before I get into a little bit more about what this professor was writing, because, again, all college students, he says, you're just a bunch of stupid kids. You're supposed to shut up and learn. You're not to have an opinion yet. You're not to have any rights yet, even though you're in college. We'll get back into that. Since I've been living here in Wyoming, I've met quite a few people who grew up in Wyoming and will flat out tell you that when they were kids, I'm talking old people that I met, when they were kids, they would be left at home alone on the ranch at 14 years old. Mom and dad had to go into town to get something done. This doesn't mean a drive-in of like an hour or so and we'll be right back. Back in those days, going into town means it probably took you 2 days just to get into town. Then once you got into town, you were there on business for a couple of days. Then you would turn around and make the 2-day trip back to the ranch. That was very typical of living out west in those days. And the kids would be left at home. The 14-year-old would be in charge. And they would do just fine. And it wasn't uncommon that by 15 years old, they would be married. And a 15-year-old girl would be pregnant with her first kid. And they would have a little house of their own and be starting a family. Very typical. And that wasn't so long ago that things like that was actually happening across the country. And people did fine and survived. Now, it was true. The parents usually were still pretty close by. So if they ever got into any trouble, they can go to mom and dad and say, what did you do here when this happened to you at this age? So family did hang around each other and help each other, but we grew up with a lot of responsibility at an early age. There was no such thing as a man-child, not back then. You were a man or you were dead. Well, let's take a look at this coddled generation that we have now, where there's boredom and no responsibility at a very early age, where there are still people living at home in their 30s and living off of their parents. They haven't yet learned how to grow up. I still get a kick out of them. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people think these movies are funny, but I just really can't get into watching movies like The Bachelor Party, stuff like that. Because you know what I see when I watch these movies? A bunch of man-children. Really, they're just man-children is what I see. I understand comedy and humor. I use it a lot myself, but can we grow up at the same time? And now we're having a problem that I talk about from time to time, and I play for you guys who listen or watch online during the affiliate breaks. There's a woman, I played one today, who wrote a book called Free Range Kids. Parents are afraid to let their kids outside to play. In fact, in some cases, if you let your kids outside to play and run around in the neighborhood like I used to do, the police will show up with child services and threaten to take your kids away from you. And you have to go through parental counseling and so on because you dared to let your kids outside and play. When it used to be they were in charge of the ranch, literally, while the parents were away for a week on business. Wow, we've really made some mistakes here, folks. So let's go back to this college professor. I'm going to read what he wrote in Slate magazine. This college professor writes, conservatives and libertarians are up in arms. They say these rules are at colleges, at universities, are an assault on free speech and individual liberty. They think universities are treating students like children, and they are right, but they have also not considered that the justification for these policies may lie hidden in plain sight. That students are children, he says, not in terms of age, but in terms of maturity. Even in college, they must be protected like children while being prepared to be adults. I think part of the problem, I'm going to take a guess here because I don't know this professor. Part of the problem is he might actually be dealing with children rather than young adults who were given responsibility at home. Little children who were never even allowed to play outside are showing up at these universities and are acting like immature little kids. And I think that's part of where he gets this idea. But there's another part of it that I disagree with him on. See, some of what he's noticed, I agree with him on. His solutions, I don't. He says, there's the popular romantic notion that students receive their university education through free and open debate in the issues of the day. Nothing could be further from the truth. Students who enter college, he writes, know hardly anything at all, and that's why they need an education. Classroom teachers know the students won't learn anything if they blab their opinions. And where I disagree with him there is that's exactly where you learn. By blabbing your opinion, and the professor doesn't tell you to shut up and sit down and pay attention. The professor defeats your idea with facts. The professor actually defeats your ideas with real facts and makes you realize, oh, maybe I don't know everything. One of my favorite things to say on this radio show is Heaven is on line one. Hi, Heaven. How have you been?
I've been all right. How about you?
I've been actually not bad at all. I am over-caffeinated and feeling good. I can see the weekend from here. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so more big names that didn't go to college. Who you got?
Well, first off, there's George Washington.
Yeah.
He had no formal education, and then Abraham Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
He had none.
Right.
And
some great presidents, too, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, a lot of Democrats actually think of George Washington as one of the first socialists. And so,
really?
Yep.
I actually never heard that.
Look it up.
Yeah, I'll look it up because I'd like to know where they think he was a socialist. But anyway, okay, go on.
No, since he didn't want to be president and didn't want to have anything to do with it, they just, for some reason, came up with the thought that he was a socialist.
Well, when they wanted to make him king, he said no way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they see that a socialist would be some kind of a government-run monarchy like that, because really that's all socialism is. There's the powerful elite that run everything, and like this college professor I'm talking about, nobody knows. I mean, there's nobody out there knows anything. You don't know how to run your own life. You need the elite to lead you on. Well, that's not that's not at all what George Washington wanted. He didn't want the responsibility of the power. He wanted to go back and lead his own life. But okay, you know, these people are smarter than us, so I guess they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, they know what's best.
Sure. So. Yeah. All right. Is that all you had?
Yeah, that's all I had today.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in and adding to the list. Good to hear from you again.
Yeah. See you later.
See you later. I just love saying that. Heaven is on line 1. Then that's actually her name, in case you haven't heard before. Let me get back to this college professor. This college professor from the law school in Chicago says teachers are dictators. Now stop for a minute here. I did not make that up. That's what he wrote in Slate magazine. You can read the article for yourself. Go to my website, which is boldrepublic.com, and then go to my Daily Outrage page, and the article is there. I'm reading directly from it. He says teachers are dictators who certainly control what students say to one another. It's not just that sincere expression of opinion about same-sex marriage or campaign finance reform or out of place in the chemistry of math class. They're out of place even in the philosophy and politics, where the goal is to educate students usually about academics, texts, and theories, not to listen to them spout it off. Interesting. So I just want you college students to sit there and just soak in the information, just believe what you're told. I think one of the biggest mistakes that we make these days when it comes to teaching is people are supposed to absorb the information and regurgitate. We're not teaching why something is the way it is. We're not teaching them how to think, how to work thought process out. Just listen to what I say and regurgitate it. That's, to me, it sounds like what he's advocating here. But it's not the inside of the classroom where students should be prisoners, according to this professor. He says most of the debate about speech codes, which frequently prohibit students from making offensive comments to one another, concerns about free speech inside or outside of class, 2 points should be made, he writes. First, students who are unhappy with the codes and values on campus can take their views to forums outside the campus. To the town square, for example. The campus is an extension of the classroom, so while the restrictions in the classroom are enforced less vigorously, the underlying objective is avoiding okay, hold on. What he wants to do is, first off, say, you're allowed to have free speech, but just not in my classroom. See, that's where it starts. Well, you're allowed to have free speech, but not when you walk out onto the college campus. Save that for the town square. But then what happens when you get into the town square and the coffee shops? What about free speech there? And the answer is, no, you're supposed to go to university to learn these things and to explore these opinions. And yes, a lot of times young college kids are going to try to process what they've learned, and they're going to get it really, really wrong. That is part of the learning process.
Glenn Woods, BoldRepublic.com.
Win thousands of dollars in a single game at Gillette Downtown Bingo. The current Bonanza jackpot is over $3,900. Fun and warm atmosphere with a smoke-free glass house. Never played bingo before? No problem. The friendly staff enjoys working with new players. Purchase a tasty dinner at the Snack Shack in the hall. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 5:30 to 10 p.m. Gillette Downtown Bingo, 212 South Gillette Avenue, Gillette, Wyoming.
You know why it's really romantic when you buy her Valentine's gift at our store? Because she knows you'd rather be at Home Depot looking at flashlights and drills. The fact that you get her a gift from Marshall Jewelry says more to her than the gift itself. This is Bruce Marshall. Now, you may never actually like jewelry stores, but there's something you'll love about giving her one of our little boxes. It's the way she wraps her arms around you, the way her lips find their way to yours. Yes, it's tough being in our store, but it has its rewards. Open 9 to 6, Monday through Saturday. Marshall Jewelry, where she'll love it, guaranteed.
Hello, Americans. This is Rod with your local American-made store here in Gillette, Wyoming, where it's always made right here in the USA. Have you seen our stainless steel art? It's beautiful. Yes, and he will do custom. Framed artwork. Check out our selection. Top-of-the-line stuffed olives, flavored olive oils. And yes, we have toys and Okabashi sandals. Free pocket constitution with purchase. We are the solution for this great nation. Get informed. Don't forget your veterans. God bless America, and buy American. It matters. MyMadeInAmericaStore.com.
Howdy, folks. This is Swede from Swede Specialties here in Gillette, and I'm here today with Mr. Wimpy. Mr. Wimpy, have you ever tried a home-brewed beer?
Oh, no. I only like Wimpy beer.
Would you like to try a home-brewed beer, Mr. Wimpy?
Well, okay, but just a sip. It looks kind of dark.
Just close your eyes and try it. Well, Mr. Wimpy, what do you think of homebrew?
Now that's real beer, Pilgrim.
So give Swede a call, 307-686-0588, or go to SwedeSpecialties.com.
Welcome to the Church of Global Warming.
Sorry, I just came in to get out of the cold. You don't mind, do you?
Well, you know, the cold outside is due to global warming.
Wait, wasn't this the same church that said that this part of the world was going to be a sandy desert by now?
Global warming works in mysterious ways.
Right, kind of like God works in mysterious ways.
Hey, careful how you talk about the Obama.
You know, I think I'll just wait outside and suffer in the driving blizzard. Besides, it's freezing cold in here.
That's because global warming froze over the wind turbine blades in the clouds, and snow and ice cover the solar panels, you idiot!
When you dance, dance like nobody is watching. And when you call Glenn, talk like the NSA and IRS are listening. Because most likely they are.
Guess who?
And they haven't had their daily dose of irreverent, insulting sarcasm today. We're counting on you. Call the show now.
A couple more things about these college students, including something that just happened on a college campus somewhere in the United States I just found out about. Let me finish off. There's a gentleman who responded to the college professor who said that basically college students are a bunch of children that need to shut up and do what they're told, and no, they don't have basic rights like freedom of speech and so on. A response was written to him. Quote, I've rarely heard an argument made so directly. Essentially, you just summarized it. The way I heard it, you made in the past is essentially that we're really saying that 18 and 22-year-olds are children, and they must therefore be treated the same way as K through 12 are. They can't handle the real world. They can't handle duties of citizenship. It's an argument that we've definitely heard. Are you saying basically that maybe below grade level studies should be ruled the same way a high school student should be? I would disagree with you. But that's definitely an argument that people should make straight out. But you run into a couple of moral and philosophical problems. He writes, one of them is the moral and philosophical underpinning of the 26th Amendment. Essentially, we've decided that in this country that 18-year-olds are considered of legal age. They're adults. We also allow them to drink and go to war. He writes, I just want to make one last point, and do not forget that some of the greatest contributors of colleges and universities come out of their graduate PhD programs. And so what I've watched is people to try to argue that because the presence of some 15 to 16-year-old super genius on these campuses, that because we have them there, we should therefore be limiting our speech on college campuses, forgetting that it would also limit the speech of a 45-year-old PhD. Interesting. Now, on that, I just came across, I think that made some great points, but I just came across this. while you folks were listening to those fine commercial sponsors. Cornell students are mad as hell. Cornell University. The students are mad as hell. Students at Cornell University are plenty smart enough to know that they should not have to pay a penalty for not buying the school's health insurance if they already have coverage. It sounds like Obamacare on top of Obamacare, but that's exactly what the new policy at the Ivy League school requires. Wow. Get a load of this, folks. The $350 health fee for opting out of the school's insurance plan was announced in a memo at the school's by the school's president and posted on the website last week, according to Higher Education Blog. But it is just settling in with the student body, and many are attending the school right now not pleased as it is with the Unaffordable Care Act. Now there's this on top of it. Students must have insurance by making those already covered pay an extra for those who do not. Now what's happening at this university right now is these students have just been smacked right upside the head by socialism. This is why this college professor that I just got done reading his opinion in Slate magazine, you're not adults, you're just a bunch of kids, and you're not allowed to have basic freedom and rights. Just shut up in classroom and do what you're told to do. I'm glad he said it. Hey, college students, are you listening? Then, as if Obamacare wasn't bad enough, you just got hit with this at Cornell. Welcome to socialism. This is it. What do you think? I'm not going to argue the point with you. Just let you figure it out. Sometimes you got to let people struggle through it. Quoting here, effective next academic year, we will be introducing a student health fee for those not enrolled in the Cornell Student Health Insurance Plan, known as SHIP. Now, what do you want to bet the students took off the letter P for plan and replaced it with the letter T? A physician and parent present, I am proud of your university's long history of providing quality medical, mental health education, et cetera, on campus. These essential services play a critical role in the students' well-being and therefore success, yet funding these services and creating access to them for all students has been a growing fiscal challenge and a personal concern of mine. The announcement sent into a fervor. Students are not happy with this. So what do students do in this day and age? Well, besides protesting in the hallways, right away they take to Twitter. One student named Jen, dear Cornell students, welcome to socialism. Another guy named Shay, I think sometimes Cornell administrators forget we're intelligent adults who pay for our education and not 8-year-olds. You should read the first article that I just talked about, young man. Another guy writes, Cornell has billions of dollars in its endowment. It is not poor by any measure. Wow. These students are having a hard time with this. Students who do not opt into the $2,352 per year plan must pay a $350 fee, which will most likely won't be covered by financial aid. So in other words, you're probably, students, not going to be allowed your student aid to pay for that $350. Okay, I think the first person who tweeted out in anger got it right. Hey, fellow students, welcome to socialism. I am so glad that this and free speech zones and so much more is happening to these students out there. They are getting fed up. They're having enough. They're fighting back against this. Hot damn, it's good to see.
911, what is your emergency?
People are calling 911 for incredibly dumb reasons.
Well, let's talk about that. Mythical morning.
In this episode, I'm going to take you through some of the dumbest 911 calls that I could find on the internet. I'm the type of guy that when something happens, I'm like, should I call 911? But I've never called 911.
I have.
You have?
Yep. We'll talk about it later.
Okay. Evidently, there are people... I don't think you have.
I have.
Evidently, there are people who err on the other side, and they call 911 at the drop of any sort of a hat.
Yeah.
Sometimes literally if a hat drops.
Yo, I got to call 911.
Now, that's not on my list, but I've got some here, and Ren, I'm going to run these by you along with you at the same time, and you can analyze the merits of these calls, okay?
I'm relatively quick to call 911.
Here's one. A 39-year-old Pennsylvania man phoned the Upper Macungie Township Police late one Thursday night to report that someone stole his Jell-O from the break room refrigerator at work. This is for real. Now, I know that this is an issue.
It's theft.
The caller, quote, continued that this was not the first time his food had been stolen from the refrigerator.
Right. He didn't call the first time. He wouldn't have called the first time. He would try to work it out. Obviously, this guy tried to work things out. If his car got stolen out of the parking lot, would he call 911?
Yeah.
What's the difference between the Jell-O and the fridge, man?
Because it's Jell-O. I don't think you want to burden the police with this.
It's a slight overreaction, but there was theft involved. That's all I got to say. Justified.
Am
I judging these?
If you really
justified.
If you really love Jell-O, then maybe. The incident remains under investigation.
Yeah, it's tough to catch a Jell-O thief.
Here's another one. Doyle Hardwick, age 57, became increasingly irritated when he wanted to check his Facebook profile in peace. However, his wife, Julie, refused to leave him alone, so he called 911.
This is tough to defend.
Now, before you defend this one, let's just take a look. Let's take a look at these people. Here's their mugshots.
Give me the facts. Give me the facts.
Well, here's their mugshots.
Okay. Well, you look respectable.
The facts are Doyle first tried giving his wife a beer, hoping it would make her drowsy enough to fall asleep.
That's what I always do.
Instead, his wife continued to sit next to him so that she could watch him browse the internet and visit his Facebook profile. Doyle Hardwick was arrested and pleaded no contest to a charge of misusing 911. He was sentenced to 60 days in jail where he did not have access to his Facebook page or his wife, Julie.
Related question. Did she ever try to watch him look at his Facebook again? Justified! Sometimes you got to pay the piper.
Julie was not arrested over the incident, but has been previously arrested for theft of utilities.
Oh, well, yeah, you tap into the grid. I've done that.
I mean, it is annoying when you're trying to do something on your phone, like, you know, somebody's looking over your shoulder.
On stolen utilities, no less.
Justified? Yes, you said justified.
Justified.
Okay, so I think you're saying all these are justified.
No, so far these two are. 2 for 2.
Here's another one. A teenage girl, who shall remain nameless, was home alone. She called 911 to report her home was being terrorized by, quote, a massive freaking creature. She went on to say, I'm home alone and there is a giant spider on the back of my...
half hour-ish of the program. My name's Glenn Woods, Bold Republics on the radio. Thanks for joining me. So for those watching on the video stream, hi, how you doing? Don't forget, there's the box there. Questions, comments, obnoxious, snotty remarks. You can also always call in as well. 307-363-4093 is the phone number. I want to be very clear what I'm about to play for you. And I'm going to translate it for you. Not because I know how to speak this language, but because there's subtitles to be clear about it, all right? Also, ladies, this is not my opinion. So there is a Muslim cleric out there who wants to have a little conversation with men. And he wants you to be better towards your women. He wants you to be more understanding towards your women when you are beating them. So, no, this is what is... Remember when George Bush came around and said, we need compassionate conservatism? I guess this is compassionate Sharia or something like that. You need to be more compassionate and understanding and careful when you're beating your wife. Again, don't blame me now. I just want to call these folks out for who they really are. And oftentimes the best way to do that is in their own words. So here we go, Muslim cleric. Okay, so and I'm going to translate as he goes there. Okay, so he begins by saying, if the husband wants to use beatings. Now, let's be clear also, in this case, he's not saying beheadings, he's saying beatings. To treat his wife, he must never, ever do it in front of the children. Okay, so in other words, the little boys and girls out there will be kind of freaked out by this. So you teach them about beating the wife later. You teach the little girl later in life that you're going to be beaten like this. And later in life, you teach the boys how to properly beat your wife, according to this Muslim cleric out there. In the peaceful religion of Islam, I guess. Okay, it must remain silent between him and her, is what it goes on to say. It must be done according to, whoops, I'm sorry, he was kind of fast on the last one. It must be done according to the following conditions. Now, this is where, again, guys, be careful when you're beating your wife. You must be, no, you just don't pick up like some big object and start like smacking her around upside the ears. By the way, wait till you hear, you ladies out there are going to love the follow-up story I have for this. But okay, let him continue. He must not cause bleeding or bruise her body. He should avoid her face and other sensitive parts of her body. Well, how compassionate. As we said, the limitations on beatings are, and he repeats it, they must not cause bleeding, they should not break any bones, they should not bruise, they should not pull the hair. The husband violates these rules, he violates the rules of Allah. If she has been hurt, the husband is held liable for what he has done because the woman is not his merchandise. Wow, this guy's a liberal among this sect in this religion, huh? Women are not merchandise? Since when did that happen in this part of the Middle East? Okay. I can do with her whatever he wants, even if the wife forgives the husband. It does not mean Allah will do the same on Judgment Day. Okay, so very clear about that. Now, I read that to you, and I understand to be very careful about reading what I'm reading to you when I read something like that, because it's kind of sensitive to some people, and I do understand that. Which is why I have this as a follow-up story. In Jacksonville, Florida, there was a little girl who was heading home from school. And this little girl was abducted, and this guy took her to his house of horrors, quite literally. And when he was done with her, I won't go into details, he brutally murdered her. And again, you don't want me to go into details about what he did with her after the murder. He was captured and sentenced, and as part of his sentencing, besides spending the rest of his life in prison, if not the electric chair, I'm not sure. The judge decided as some kind of compensation, his bank account belongs to the mother of this child. She's a single mom. His house belongs to the mother of this child that he brutally murdered. And so then the court asks, so what are you going to do with the house? Well, you know how the fire department shows up on occasion to practice putting out a house? They find some old derelict house, they burn it down and practice putting out a house fire. Yeah, that's what she did. She invited the fire department over. They set up everything inside to make the house burst into flames. And they walked with her to make sure it was safe over to a back window where they handed her a flare. She lit the flare and tossed it through the back window. The house erupted into flames. And she stood there on the street with the fire department as they watched the house burn to the ground. And as the reporters gathered around, she had a big smile on her face that at least she was able to do that. You take my daughter's life in this way, I will burn your house to the ground.
Wimpy, are you still drinking that homebrewed beer the Swedes from Sweet Specialties help you to make?
Why, yes, dear. I sure am, whiny. Why do you ask?
We never have any good wine around here. I would like something really good.
All I hear around here is wine, wine, wine. Why don't you get the makings from Swede at Swede Specialties? He can help you make really good wine right here at home. Give Swede a call, 686-0588, or go to swedespecialties.com.
Where will Wyoming be by the year 2100? Are we building a future for our children, or are we stealing it? Right now, government employees who expect a retirement check will find their pension fund broke in just 14 years. Wyoming's pension will go the way of pensions of Detroit and Illinois, which are already bankrupt. If we want Wyoming to still be a viable state at the next turn of the century, we can't let it go bankrupt. Wyoming needs to set the example and not saddle future generations with today's debt. Visit Wyoming2100.com for a few ideas on how we can avoid spending traps that are bankrupting so many other states. Wyoming2100.com. The long view, the right road.
Smithers, you look exhausted.
Oh, sir, I was at the office half the night.
Really? Well, that's the third night this week.
Yes, sir. I just can't seem to stay away. I'm not sure what's gotten into me.
Dedication, son. I haven't seen that kind of work ethic in years.
Right. Well, I'll probably be at the office late again tonight. There's just so much to do.
You'll want to work late every night at the Office Saloon with Doc McGillicuddy Monday, Tap That Tuesdays, Screw It Wednesdays, Thirsty Thursdays, and thank God it's Friday with Bud and Bud Light specials. And at the office, you'll even want to work weekends, Saturday nights, ladies' nights, and mini-me Sundays. Work late at the Office Saloon, U.S. Highway 14 in Gillette, Wyoming, out toward the airport.
Smithers, is there any luck with that client you've been chasing?
Oh, yes, sir. Last night, she gave me her phone number.
Attaboy, Smithers. Attaboy.
Hey, Frank, you're actually gonna fall for that hook, are you? I'm just so hungry, and the lure looks so good. Yeah, well, just look up through the ice hole at that guy. Yeah, he's got all the latest gear, doesn't he? He's so warm and comfortable, and the top window sportsman clothing, and fishing pole, and the best lures, nice comfortable chairs, coolers, warmers. He's got it all. I can't stand it. I'm gonna bite the hook. Are you seriously gonna fall for that? No, it's just that it has to be warmer up there above the ice than down here in the water. Yeah, and that frying pan he's got on the fire's a lot more.
Rocky Mountain Discount Sports has everything that the ice fisherman needs for the winter. Lines and lures, rods and reels. Special outfits to keep you warm, tents to keep the wind away, and the right kind of lures for winter fishing. Rocky Mountain Discount Sports, 4706 South Douglas Highway in Gillette, Wyoming. Open Monday through Saturday, 8 to 9, Sunday 9 to 6. Remember when the President of the United States promised this?
If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor.
Well, now you can.
Honey, it's Dr. Phillips. What a surprise. Is this a social call?
Well, sort of. More like a socialist call.
Yes, now because of the intrusion of big government on the medical industry, you can have a doctor in the privacy of your own home.
Well, I'm going to have to move in with you. That is, if you want to keep your healthcare provider.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes, since you're going out of business, you can find out how to keep your own doctor in the privacy of your own home just by going to healthcare.gov. Oh, wait. That website's not working. Well, just look on a street corner for a doctor holding up a "We'll Medicate for Food" sign. Invite him on home.
I have nowhere else to go.
Keep him in your guest room, your basement.
Well, Chris is off to college. He can use that room.
Absolutely not.
Well, he can help me with my gout.
Go! I'm good at go!
Brought to you by the Obama administration, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C.
A radio show? Yeah, tip of the iceberg. Check out the YouTube videos. See what Glenn's talking about on Facebook and Twitter. You can find out more at boldrepublic.com.
So I'm doing a little bit of house cleaning here as wrap up the last, 15 minutes-ish or so of the program. Bold Republic is on, and Chet's, I've got your, Chet's doing what you guys can do if you're watching on video stream. He's leaving me a note here, and I'm going to comment to it. And as we get into the weekend, I'm going to be over at the Camplex in Gillette, Wyoming. If you're in Wyoming, this Saturday, hanging out for a while. So come look for me. I'll be at the booth of the local affiliate station there. Just notice entitled College Degree. You don't even need a valid birth certificate, and what good is a degree when it is just another sealed document? Great show, Glenn. Have a great weekend. You too. Dan. Hey, Dan, you got a little props there from Chet. Okay. Well, here's the deal. I am not going to say a college degree is not important, but it depends on what profession you're in. It really does. Do you need the degree for that or not? I know a lot of people who dropped out of college because, and folks, I'm one of them. I'm one of them. No, I was going to college, but my speech teacher was flunking me. My speech teacher was. I was already doing radio and stand-up comedy. Yeah, I mean, everything that I was learning there, in fact, I was even taking a radio course. I was learning radio there. And I found that I really wasn't learning anything that I wasn't already learning on the job. Why pay to learn from a guy who doesn't know squat about radio, I figured. And he really didn't. My teacher really didn't. When the boss that I have, we're at the #2 rated radio station in the town. And my boss was really good, and it was on-the-job training. I was getting paid for it. And DJ's answering, thanks, Chet, you too. Yeah, guys giving props out there. That's good. I like the conversation online. So it depends on what you're doing. Sometimes you need to go to college. Sometimes it's not all that important. I think, honestly, some people are putting too much stock into a college education. Depends. What's your profession? I don't think you need to be college educated to be a president. And if you are college educated and a president, what was your degree in? Was it relevant? Was it relevant to anything? The current president that we have right now has college degrees. He even taught the Constitution for a while. How's that working out? Complete idiot, has no idea what he's doing. I would have rather had someone who actually graduated from the school of life than this guy. Dan is reminding me that we're going to be at the Winterfest. That's the name of the event at the Camplex. So, okay, we're going to be at the Winterfest at the Camplex. That's where we're going to be. And it's going to be, I'm going to be there Saturday, kind of off and on. So just come find me at the Camplex. Good time to do that. Okay, so I've got a little bit of house cleaning with some audio clips that you guys have to hear just before I finish up the program in the last and next segment of the program. Hang with me for that, including for those in Wyoming from your Senator Enzi. Just about 7 minutes left, right after these words from your fine affiliate station sponsors.
Hello?
It's your roommate.
Yeah, funny. I don't have a roommate.
Hi.
Where are you going? You can't just barge in here.
Why not? We share this apartment.
We what?
Well, the government might have given you this place, but I'm the one paying for it.
You are? Yeah, how do you figure that?
Ma'am, allow me to introduce myself. I'm a taxpayer.
You are? Wow. I've heard of you people, but I don't think I've ever met one before.
Oh, no, ma'am. We're just a small percentage of the population, but we pay most of the taxes.
So you're the one paying for all this stuff?
Yes, ma'am. I pay for your house, your food.
Electricity, my cell phone, my car, my gas?
That's why I'm here.
I still don't understand.
Well, you see, I pay so much in taxes, I can't afford any of this stuff myself. They've given it all to you. So I guess we're just gonna have to share.
Well, but
Look, where are the car keys?
Oh, no. I just bought that car.
No, ma'am. We bought that car, and I have to get to work so we can keep paying for all of this.
Oh, right. Over there on the counter.
See you at dinner. Oh, and since I'm paying for all this, I'm taking the master bedroom.
Oh.
Hi, my name is Nicholas. I run a little local newspaper that I happen to own in a small town. I have to do it pretty much all by myself. I do have some employees that do a wonderful job, but advertising, sales, PR, reporting, photography, bookwork, sure, I would love to hire some people to help me. But government taxes, rules, regulation, they all get in the way. Make it impossible.
Hi, my name is Chris. I sell and install flooring. I'm proud to say I own my own company. I should be on the floor right now selling to my customers, but instead I'm back here in this little hole I call my office, trying to catch up on paperwork. I was actually able to make a lot more money when I could run my company. Thanks, big government. Because of you, my life sucks more and more every day.
All I want to do is replace my washing machine, but thanks to the EPA, my choices are limited to energy-efficient models that don't work worth a damn. Thanks, big government. My life didn't suck enough.
Last 7 minutes of the program, Bold Republic is on. My name is Glenn Woods. Don't forget to check out my website during the weekend to catch up on any of the shows you missed, but all the special features that I posted as well on YouTube and other such places. It's all at boldrepublic.com. And drop me a note, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube. My email address is there, and I'll go ahead and answer back. And by the way, Chet, that was Dan, not DJ, saying thanks. He accidentally signed in on her account. So that little, hey, thanks was from Dan up there in the front office, just so you know. So, okay. I want to say something before I get to some of these audio bits. So, online now and then, I just kind of surf around various social media sites to see what people are talking about. And I get a kick out of when I come across somebody. You've met this kind of person. They're a serious know-it-all who knows absolutely nothing. And the more they talk, the more they're just obvious they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So this person posts a hand with a gun, with a pistol, and makes some comments about angry white guys causing all the trouble. Angry conservative white guys, something like that. So I answered and said, so do you mean like the guy who assassinated Kennedy, who was a Democrat and a socialist who actually defected to the Soviet Union? Or are you talking about the Unabomber, who was an environmental activist who was blowing people up because he wanted to stop progress, that kind? I was accused of making it up and getting those lies from Fox News. I was actually just accused of that. So my question, and I'm going to have to put this online, I really do seriously want to know, is this person seriously that stupid, or it's a conservative trying to make liberals look that bad? Because I honestly don't think anyone could be that stupid. But maybe I'm wrong. Okay, some of the audio cuts that I want to give you just at the end of the program here. And, you know, this is where I may pick on the guy, but when somebody is right about something, somebody is right about something. So from Wyoming, Senator NZ on Social Security.
Let me put this as clearly as possible. No waffle words, no Washington word games. By December of next year or early January, the program will be broke if we don't fix it. And once broke, the law governing the program means that benefits for disabled must be cut or delayed.
He's absolutely right. So we got one of two choices here, folks. The question is, are we going to reform it? He's specifically talking about Social Security disability. Or are we just going to let it go broke and people have nothing? And every time we step up and try to reform it, here comes the yelling and screaming. You just want people to die in the streets. And nobody's ever said any such thing. So I just wanted you to know, for the record, for those people who are against reforming Social Security, seriously, they are against having an adult conversation about money. That's what it comes down to. They just don't know how to have an adult conversation about real money. And on that
Do you
note,
support balancing the budget within 10 years?
We support making sure we meet the most important tests of fiscal sustainability.
The question is, do you support balancing the budget within 10 years, yes or no?
Again, we think the most important test for a budget is, does it meet...
I will take that as a no. Let me ask you this. Do you think President Clinton made a mistake in working with congressional Republicans to balance the budget?
I think what we're proposing in this budget is that we work on a bipartisan way to build on the recent success we've had in Murray Ryan, to increase discretionary spending, but more than fully offset it, as our budget does, with reductions on the mandatory side and with revenues.
But it doesn't come into balance.
Again, the budget produces $1.8 trillion of deficit reduction.
Let me ask you this. Talking about that deficit, deficit of under 3% of GDP may be a substantial improvement. We will agree with that. When you look at the amount of spending that took place early in this administration, but it will still add to the national debt, will it not?
Our budget reduces spending overall,
but it's still
compared
adding
to current
to
law, and it reduces the deficit by $1.8 trillion relative to current law.
$18 trillion and growing in debt. Let's see, your estimate is $22 trillion by 2025. That would be the amount of debt. Are you okay with that number? Do you think that's healthy for the economy and the American taxpayer?
The key test is, compared to current law, where our debt and deficits would continue to grow as a share of our economy, this budget brings them below 3% of GDP on the deficit side and stabilizes and reduces the debt as a share of our economy.
Are you okay with the $22 trillion number by 2025?
What I think the focus of a budget needs to be is, are we investing in American families, in our economy? Those are the most critical tests of a budget, along with the fiscal sustainability that I've talked about.
I appreciate that, but I'll tell you, the focus of the budget should be about the priorities that the American people have set. That's what a budget should be. It is a reflection of the priorities of the entity. Now, we have gone from $10.6 trillion in debt to
dear
over $18
Lord,
trillion
this goes on and on.
Over
Isn't
the last 6 years.
Seriously, you know what I'd like to have done? I'm glad she gave him a hard time. I really wanted her to get up, that was a congresswoman, by the way, and just walk over and smack the guy. I know she would have been arrested for it, but I would have sent her a love letter if she had done it. Keep checking out my website during the course of the weekend. A lot to post. There's a lot happening this week. I'll see you at the Camplex in Wyoming as well. And I'm sorry to say this, Dan, but all of the candy and so on we had there for Valentine's Day, we're already out of Hershey's Kisses. We ate them all. No, we're out.